Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series, I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading Words of Radiance for the first time. Each episode, we will discuss the chapter and share our experience along the way.
This is Storming the Archives, Words of Radiance, and today we discuss the Interludes 1 through 4.
The Interludes 1, 2, 3.
Yes, those ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple of things. First off, I have to tell everyone a bit of news. I have been essentially spoiled for something regarding the Almighty and 3 of 16. Yeah. So I just want to emphasize caution in explaining things or spelling out things. If something goes over our head or if we've missed something or forgotten something, let that be. We'll figure it out in our own time, I'm sure. You know, if I say something ridiculous like tin can make people fly and use psychic powers, like that's fine to be like, whoa, what? But
I don't connect dots for us either.
yeah, but thank you all for doing your best to abide by the no spoilers. I think I'm not gonna tell Kitty, and I'm going to do my best to kind of forget it or not guide Kitty toward what it is that I think I know.
Most of the time, you're figuring things out anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in the sense that we talked close to it in a recent chapter, and it kind of went off in a different direction, so there's that. Anyway, we don't need to spend too much time on this. Just, I'm re-emphasizing, please, to be cautious. I hope it's not a stifling thing as far as interacting in the comments and the Discord goes, but we do try to take the non-spoilers as seriously as we can.
And there is a spoiler section on the Discord where you can speak about stuff we don't know. So if that's what you want to do, remember that.
Yeah.
We know it's difficult as well to figure out, am I spoiling or not? If in doubt, you're spoiling. So just try not to. It's very difficult. I've had the experience with Wheel of Time and things like that with Dorkus. Yeah, it's tough, but we appreciate it. Just a reminder.
Yeah. Anyway, the interludes.
Hefty interludes.
Yeah, these chapters are much longer than the interludes of the first book.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the connecting tissue between each of them, Kitty, did you sense any through line? Any thematic through line or anything like that?
I saw parallels with characters that we've experienced in the book, so I'll talk about that. But
okay.
Yeah, through line wise, I haven't really thought about it. No.
Gotcha. I think there is almost something there about ancient truths or history and moving forward into the future, if that makes sense. We've got the Parshendi, who have a very unique connection to the past, and they have to make a hefty decision about whether or not they're going to draw upon that as they move into the future. And we sort of get that with Eam with regard to penance for his crime.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of get that with Rhys and I guess honoring this culture's ancient ways and how that affects her broken legs by the end of it will affect her future. So I feel like there could be something there, but I haven't quite locked into how to say it concisely.
I can see what you mean.
I've been a bit nervous about us recording these chapters this week. I feel like I'm going to be heavy on the criticism.
I really enjoyed them, so I would like to hear the criticisms. This will be a great episode, I think, if we disagree.
Excellent. Yeah, I even wrote a diatribe. We'll get to that. But let's actually then get into the chapters. We learn quickly in the first interlude, Narok, that This is a Parshendi POV.
Yeah, that's great.
We finally get it. We learn very quickly that the POV is of a character named Eshonai, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we also learn very quickly that this is the shard bearer from the previous book, the confrontation with Dalinar, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I learned that, I went back to the Way of Kings chapter to review the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we know who this person is. And it sort of parallels a bit with Rhysand's chapter in this set of interludes, the gender thing, and we'll get into the gender thing. The chapter itself in Way of Kings is called Eshonai, which is this character's name.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things I noted is the repetition of him in that chapter. There's a lot of emphasis on him in reference to the Parshendi. We even get the line, the Parshendi man made an aggressive thrust. So I wanted to ask you, Kitty, because we know in Way of Kings that there was a fair amount of emphasis on Kaladin and Dalinar's inability to distinguish between the men and the women.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so much emphasis on him in this. I presume Sanderson did this purposefully in a way to trick us. Now, you could argue it's in character for Dalinar to presume him, that it is him thinking him, because why would a woman be fighting? But he already seems to have gathered that women can fight in the Parshendi.
But that doesn't take away the expectation that, the strongest will be males. Just the human expectation that the strongest will be males, therefore the shard bearers will be males.
Sure, even though shard blade and plate can be an equalizer.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a normal instinct.
So then what do you think about the difference between him and it? If Sanderson chose to use the word it instead of him, do you think that that might be an improvement, or not much of value would be lost, or do you think it would be a degradation?
It would be a degradation, I think. It would be because what we've been going through with Dalinar thus far in that POV is he was starting to notice things about the Parshendi, and he's starting to feel horrible about killing them and that sort of thing, or at least that happened in the book. So him thinking of this person as an it would not work. It would make me feel a bit. It would have been out of sorts. Maybe I wouldn't have really clocked it too badly because it would have been, in the action of the fight. But in hindsight, I would be up going, wait a second. Yeah, he shouldn't be thinking of them as it's, because he cares about them. He knows they're people. And he's noticing that they are a lot more complex than he thought.
Sure. Interesting. Yeah, it's much of a muchness for me. I think either is fine, although I do think I think the specific line of the Parshendi man made an aggressive thrust, I wouldn't have added in man there. I would have just stuck to he swung his blade at Dalinar kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Known in hindsight. Obviously, going through it blind, I didn't even clock the word man, but in hindsight, I'm like, I don't think you needed man.
We see what you did there. Yeah.
I also want to call attention to the previous epigraph from chapter 12 talked about transformation, and there's a lot of talk of transformation in both of the Parshendi interludes here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and last chapter, we did wonder or think, okay, well, maybe Navani here is just talking about normal transformation. She's not talking about actual physical transformation, but we don't know. Either way, it's yet to be confirmed whether Navani knew about this when she wrote that.
Yes, very much so. One of the other things that I wanted to mention is that I think Sanderson does a really good job in the Parshendi chapters of making them feel alien. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, alien as in
not
more
human.
Than, yeah, not human, yeah.
That said, I did kind of feel on the whole as if the dialogue was kind of modern, if that makes sense. I think part of it is just the way they talk felt a bit less alien. It's just something I kind of noticed.
So he made them feel like strange and alien, but at the same time, there was some stuff that felt incongruent with that.
Yeah, like the talk about the rhythms and the way they live and their forms and everything, that was all super alien. But then they would start speaking and I'm like, oh, they just kind of sound like modern day normal humans with sarcasm and what have you.
Well, that's okay. I like that.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we've been putting off the specifics of the chapter too long. Let's get into it, shall we?
Okay.
The very first line is, "The rhythm of resolve thrummed softly in the back of Eshonai's mind." It goes on. But my first thought when I read that was, isn't there a book called The Rhythm of War?
Might be. Makes sense. So if there is a rhythm of war, it's the war-making rhythm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's a great book name.
I agree. They are on the central plateau, Narak, which they have made their home, and I guess Narak means exile.
Mm-hmm.
They had just won a gem heart, and she is almost wishing that it hadn't been an easy run. I guess they managed to get to the gem heart before any of the soldiers showed up. There's a part of me that wonders, is that because there's too much infighting amongst the Alethi right now? Or not?
Yeah, is it just a happy coincidence or not?
Yeah. We get Eshonai thinking the line,
"Where are you, Blackthorn? Why have you not come to face me again?"
I was immediately kind of turned off from Eshonai and that line, and I wrote to myself, why haven't you? And I underlined you. Because it's like, you could go to him, you could go into these fights, why aren't you?
Well, she's wounded, and she hasn't spotted him.
Yeah.
She hasn't seen him, so ever since that, he hasn't gone onto the battlefield. He hasn't been in his shard plate.
Sure, I guess the leg does need a bit of time to heal, and we do learn that she is the last shard bearer the Parshendi have. And to contrast with what I just said, she does note, perhaps if she participated directly, the Blackthorn would appear again. So she does consider that.
Mm-hmm. There is a lot of stuff in this chapter that really makes me go, wow, they really are not doing as well as we thought they were. I knew they weren't like winning, but I didn't know they were losing this badly.
Yeah, that was another big takeaway. I can't believe I didn't bring it up before we started getting into the chapter. It's like they are losing. They are losing handily. Like Eshonai is desperate pretty much to speak to Dalinar right now to try and sue for peace in a bad way. And I remember, like, before this chapter, we were all like, do they have unlimited reserves in Urithiru? What secret knowledge do they know that the Alethi don't? And it turns out not much. Some things maybe, although I question how accurate those things are in the first place, but apparently not much.
You just wish they were communicating.
Yeah. We get that many are singing the rhythm of mourning or excitement or resolve. So they all have these rhythms that they are frequently singing, and they all kind of just like fall into one rhythm or another depending on their feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We get that the Parshendi call themselves the listeners, and I will say the L is not capitalized, and the first time I read through the chapter, that confused me.
Yeah, because the first time I went through the chapter, it was audio only, and I assumed it was capitalized L, and then when I read it, I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We learn that the ruins that dominated Narak were buildings that have been subject to the storms so long that they're covered in creme, which I think is interesting. Again, it makes one wonder if this was Urithiru, but Yasna was so sure, and I think in a Dalinar flashback, he noted that this used to be a city. I forget the name. Natanaten, or what used to be it before Natanaten. I could be wrong. It's been a while.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about which city it was, but I was wondering, is this what they're looking for?
Yeah. Eshonai is very soldierly, and she is thinking back to the days when she had first encountered the humans. She is someone who used to love exploring the world. So she's an adventurer, an explorer.
A pioneer.
Yep. And now she's held up here. She attunes to the rhythm of Lost as she remembers the Fallen, and then she attunes to Resolve. Do they sing because they feel that way, or do they feel that way because they sing? I know that there's sort of a natural cadence to it, but you can force certain rhythms.
I get the sense that they're all of the tunes or the rhythms are happening at once, and they all somehow harmonize. And then a tuning, they listen or they hear. It's like they hear certain rhythms according to what they're feeling. And there's a little bit of an explanation about that, or a little bit of leaning on that later on in the chapter, or it might be in the second chapter that we are with Ish and I. But yeah, I just loved that. That's part of what I really loved about these chapters with her, is this attuning. It's just having a feeling. So it's kind of like there's this constant stream of sound, and then you kind of listen to it telepathically, or I don't know, it's like it's in your head, or I think it's both. It's in your head and in your ears. And I loved it. I love the idea.
Yeah, it's very neat, very psychic. And at this point, about 2 pages in, I start thinking to myself, ooh, can we learn why they killed Gavilar, please? Will we get that information? So I'm waiting for that at that point. So they had named the plateau Nurok, which means exile, for it was where they had come to be separated from their gods. Part of me wondered if that had to do with the Parshmen, but it sounds like that's not quite it. Sort of connected, but not entirely.
What, the Parshmen being their gods, or?
No,
What do you mean connected?
I mean connected to the advent, the creation of the Parshmen.
Yeah.
We get Malin and Femalin to differentiate between males and females. She notes that the humans were relentless in their pursuit of vengeance. I think, yeah. Did you not know what you were doing? Yeah.
Well, we'll find out what they were doing, but yeah, and straight after that, you get she didn't blame them.
Yes, so which is good.
That makes me go, okay, she knows what's going on. Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any secret about who started what. Although I do get really frustrated. We'll get into it later. She goes by this place called the Hall of Art, and a bunch of soldiers are painting. And she's going around looking at their work. None of it is particularly good. We'll learn later on what their goal in doing this painting is, but at this point, and to a degree later on through the chapter as well, I kind of feel as if Sanderson might be playing into the noble savage trope. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yeah. That savages can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're of the earth and they're just great.
Right. It's sort of this idea that indigenous people are inherently good and live in harmony with nature, that they are uncorrupted by civilization. And I'm kind of leery of that. It's kind of a romanticization. And when you throw in the painting, when you consider Dalinar and Kaladin's strange budding respect for the Parshendi, it's kind of hard for me to tell if this is what Sanderson is going for or not. What do you think of that?
I can see why you would attune to that. Why you would make that, you would see that. I'm seeing it more as just a revelation of them being more than what was thought. But in a fantasy setting, it's literally that they are more as a species than what was thought. It's not like, yes, I guess you could compare it to the past in reality, but it's a genuine discovery of intelligence in something that you have thought of as the other for so long. And I think that's fine. I don't think he's glorifying them. He's just making them into a people. So it didn't feel that way to me. For me, it was just like, look, here is their culture. Here is their side of the story. It affects the other side of the story as well. It's got all these mysteries. And also they have characters that I worry about, and I'll talk about them later. So it's not that I don't find them that they're just perfect, which I think tempers that, what do you call it, that urge to go, noble savage.
Sure. Now, I did almost counter my supposition here by considering that the samurai were these warriors who also did poetry and so on. So it's not unrealistic to imagine a warrior group that does art. Then again, they're not very good at it. So again, I still have that sort of leery sense, but I'm sure as they get more fleshed out, I'll be able to adjust or become more assured. We'll see.
Yeah. For me, it's already there.
Excellent.
I'll point it out as we go along.
Nice. So we learn a bit about how they have different forms, and they're doing this art in the hopes of discovering some sort of art form, in the hopes that it will unlock a deeper understanding of forms so that they can find a form to help them end the war. One of the artists doesn't think that the art will help, and Eshonai responds that her sister is close to discovering a new form, hopefully one that's even stronger than war form. So we've got war form, we've got mate form, we've got work form. What was it? Agile? Nimble form. Yeah. And then dull form.
And slave form, which is lower than dull form.
So it would seem, and I guess those are the Parshmen, yeah? And they each are physically different and with different capabilities. That's neat. I really like that. We get that the old songs spoke of hundreds of forms. Now they knew of only 5, well 6 if one counted slave form, the form with no spren, no soul, and no song. From this we get this idea that they have lost some history themselves, or some knowledge. They supposedly have these songs going back however many generations, and there's even some worry from Eshonai that words can change on occasion, which they can, but it suggests to us that their history, that their knowledge might not be all-encompassing, which to me casts a bit of doubt on how correct their worries were, which led to them deciding to assassinate Gavilar.
Yeah, it's fragmented. We've got the unreliable narrator giving them their history here.
Right. The other thing is, I wrote in the margins here, where is their music? An unreasonable question. And I believe I wrote that because here Eshonai seems fairly knowledgeable. Like knowledge of these forms is well known. It's a common thing. So how would the leaders at the time have not known that the Parshmen existed and didn't have any music? Now, as you've pointed out, that there does seem to be a difference between dull form and slave form, but it could be that the last legion is different than the slave forms. So maybe they were isolated and didn't know. But it does make me question how reasonable the question, where's their music, was.
They might have been separated, like they're separate tribes or they're separate groups that then landed up, there was a schism between them. I'm seeing a lot of parallels with something that happened in Wheel of Time. So
interesting.
I'm interested to see where this goes, because it's the same sort of lost history of a people, revelation incoming kind of thing.
Sure. And it's been a while since I reviewed that specific passage, but I do think I vaguely recall that the existence of the Parshmen was a surprise to the Parshendi. So yeah, I do think it's a reasonable question, but on my first pass, I was wondering what all of the circumstances around it and what this new information means, how it affects the question. So she's walking by, she passes by 3 mate forms, 2 females and a male, who are bathing, which Eshonai finds gross.
Yeah, well, they're bathing in water that everyone's going to drink. It's like, stop it. And they're just having fun. They're just so carefree, kind of like, oh, come on, because that's what mate form's all about.
Right. So we do learn that when you are in mate form, it's very hard to concentrate on things. You become pretty overwhelmed with probably pheromones.
Yeah.
And so on. And at that point, I kind of wrote to myself, mate form would probably be the best for art and doing art and unlocking an art form. Have you tried?
If you could focus on doing art more than your partner.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. As they go by, and Eshonai is perplexed by who would ever want to remain in mate form, she reflects on how that's what the humans do. I was like, yeah, but they don't really have a choice. But it speaks to how alien. Exactly. This is a compliment. It speaks to how alien she is. It's such an alien perspective to have. It's great. And then we get the line, what she wouldn't have given to be able to go among them unnoticed, to adopt their monochrome skin for a year and walk their highways, see their grand cities. Instead, she and the others had ordered the murder of the Alethi king in a desperate gambit to stop the listener gods from returning. That's our first sentence about Gavilar and why they did what they did. And I was so hyped for
it. Yeah, it's great. And you're like, cool. But what was he doing? What did he tell them? So it gives you a little bit, but not enough.
Right.
That thing in Kindle, that line is highlighted, has 8,668 highlighters.
Whoa.
Highlighted that. Yeah.
I wrote in the margins, Voidbringer gods, stop, who summon? So I don't know how accurate the Parshendi perception of who their gods are, what they are, what happened is or is not. How accurate it is or is not. Like, what exactly happened? Is Gavilar trying to usher in the Everstorm? Is he trying to summon the Voidbringers? The further you get into the Parshendi POVs, the more you kind of presume they sound like Voidbringers. What was Gavilar up to? What was he thinking? Did he think he was just going to bring in some Spren or something? Yeah,
he might have thought of bringing back the Knights Radiant, and that was the problem. Or was he trying to bring in the Heralds or whatever? They interpreted it in a certain way.
Yeah. The frustrating thing about whether or not they were right or not is the Voidbringers are coming regardless.
Yeah, because it's the way things happen. It's just you're trying to avoid something, and because of the actions you take, it leads to the prophesied outcome anyway.
Right.
So yeah, it just happens. Epics happen that way.
Yep. So Eshonai makes her way over to Venli and Demid. Venli is her sister, and Venli and Demid are a pair. They used to be mates. I guess now they're not because they aren't in mate form, but they are still a pair. So I don't think once mate means they're divorced.
It's just that they had been a couple, a mating pair.
Yes. Now they are essentially a research pair. They're doing some research in ways that are very unlistener, as Eshonai characterizes it. Now that kind of suggests to me maybe it's not the noble savage trope if they are adopting Alethi ways. Maybe?
No, they're developing that, and it's not even Alethi ways, it's that they might be recapturing a past that they didn't know they had.
Sure. Eshonai lets them know that they won. The gem heart is theirs, so they will continue to eat. And I read that and I thought, wait, what? Are you eating the gem hearts?
I just assumed, their food source depends on gem hearts in some way.
Right.
Like I wondered if they have fabrials or some sort of magic that they have that makes food and whatever. At that point, that's what I was wondering.
Right.
What kind of magic they use. Yeah.
Very interesting. And we get an answer to that a bit later on, and it's kind of neat. We get the exchange.
Dalinar Kholin, he did not come to this battle. He will not face you again. You nearly killed him last time.
So that line annoys me so much. So much. Because she nearly killed him after hours of fighting. It was a cheap shot. It was not a fair bout. And Dalinar did really excellent in it. And it annoys me that is Venli's perspective on it.
I think it's fine for her to have that perspective because she's on the other side of the enemy lines.
Sure.
It's just the way it is. Okay. And yes, he did almost die. So, like, that is still a fact. Whether or not it was a fair bout or not, he still almost died. So, the fact is, he nearly died, and you don't want to go back into that. And neither of them want to have that clash again, I would say.
Sure. In our description of Venli, we get that in the right light, her eyes had a violet cast.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I connected that in my mind to the light eyes. So I'm curious if this says anything about her.
To me, this makes me go foreshadowing for Venli later on. I feel quite specific about it. She might be the first void bringer.
Oh no.
To come, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good, because if anyone's going to void bring, it's going to be her. Because there's a lot of hatred in Venli.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Eshonai explains that she's ready to sue for peace. Venli doesn't think that the Alethi will forget or forgive it. And I'm like, but Dalinar does want peace. The important people are ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Everyone else is still at war, yeah.
But I also think, like, there's nothing stopping you from walking into Dalinar's camp. You could do it. It might be dumb, it might be stupid, might be dangerous, but there's nothing stopping you. If you really, really wanted.
Maybe the soldiers would.
Maybe the soldiers would. Go alone then. Not smart, could lead to your death, but try.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are running on fumes, and there's basically a limitless supply of Alethi. So...
yeah, so might as well try. But they don't want to. They are actually quite... maybe there's too many war forms over here.
Yeah. We learned that Eshonai had participated in the decision to kill Gavilar. They knew they were risking destruction, but if they didn't, all would have been lost. And Venli reveals that she has discovered the secret of storm form.
Mm-hmm. Just before that, another thing to note, just for us in future, is that the others who had made the decision with her were dead now. So this 5 that we encounter in the later chapters
are a new
not
5.
The same. Yeah.
Eshonai's pissed off because Venli was supposed to be working on finding a diplomat or scholar form.
Mm-hmm.
Venli believes they need to use the ancient powers. And we really do get this idea of Venli being vengeful, desperate, and hate-filled. And in a way, it bothers me that she's willing to consider something like this, because it turns them into hypocrites. They killed Gavilar so as to not bring in their gods, but now that they're losing, they're willing to use some sort of technique that will usher in their gods. That annoys me. I understand it's Venli's character.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes me not like Venli. Yeah.
Yeah.
She asserts that like they need to do this because the Alethi have surge binders, and Eshonai is in denial, says maybe it was an honor blade. So that sets up a distinction between Shard Blade and Honor Blade. I feel like the Honor Blades are those blades that the Heralds used, possibly, because they were noted.
With me,
go on.
Yeah, they were noted
as being different in the prelude chapter in Book 1.
So from the context and the way that they talk about Honor Blades, they don't seem to speak about them being as they seem like on the way in this exchange. The humans have surge binders. It could have been an Honor Blade. That isn't viewed as it's even worse than a surge binder. Like that, it's like, oh, well, it could have been an Honor Blade. Like you would think that's bad. That's not a good thing to say afterwards if you're worried about surge binders. So they're kind of equal in my head. Mm-hmm. And I came, by the end of these 2 chapters, I came to the conclusion that an Honor Blade would be something that Szeth is.
Oh, interesting.
It's a person, not an actual object, but they're just called Honor Blades. And the humans have surge binders. So surge binders and Honor Blades are different things.
Yeah, because I think what you're getting at is this idea that the Parshendi knew about Szeth. They knew he could surge bind. They had to have. Mm-hmm. Presumably that was why they chose Szeth for the role. So they would have to consider what Szeth can do as something categorically different.
And they refer to him to having left an Honor Blade behind that night.
Right.
That to me means that Zeth is an honor blade
I
and
see what
Kaladin's
you're
a surge
saying.
binder. They're different things, yeah.
Yes. It just hit me. Yeah, Zeth is an honor blade. He himself is an honor blade, which...
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wondered, like, because we said that maybe the differences in between what they're doing in terms of binding and their magic powers, it did seem that they do it very differently.
Yeah.
It's not, the word very shouldn't be there. They do it differently, it seems. It might be because it's like I made the excuse last week or whenever it was that, or maybe Zeth just does it so fast. The way it's described, it doesn't seem the same. But now with this context, I'm like, oh, maybe it is different. Because there's no up is down, down is up kind of thing going on with Kaladin, at least not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like your interpretation and your theories, and I will adopt them as my own more so than mine.
Yay!
Yeah.
I did a thing, guys.
Yay. Venli is pretty determined to do this. They need something that can ensure their freedom, and Venli says that enough people of that form could control a high storm or even summon one. Big if true.
Mm-hmm.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, so we've got here this idea of we must strive for something meaningful, something that can ensure our freedom if surge binders come through. So we have to take from this surge binders returning is lack of freedom for Parshendi.
Yes.
For Parshman and Parshendi. Okay, cool.
Yes, and if surge binders tend to be against the Everstorm, it would put the Parshendi on the side of the Everstorm or the Voidbringers, and therefore maybe Yasna was right?
Yeah, I think they inadvertently are on the side of the Everstorm because it seems like the idea that they have of freedom, there's just so much more. I don't know when to talk about this, but the idea that they have of freedom is consciousness, is beyond slave form, is having a spren and all of that. And I have the theory that it seems like that goes away when the Radiance or the Heralds, I'm not too sure, are around because they can control them and they make sure that they stay sub-storm form.
Mm-hmm.
And the Everstorm is Parshendi in storm form.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Voidbringers are Parshendi in storm form.
Well, I kind of think that Parshendi in storm form are Thunderclasts.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah, that's true. That there's different... Gosh, I'm seeing Thunderclasts and Voidbringers as the same thing. You're right. So that would be two different things.
Yeah, because the impression I got from Dalinar's last flashback was that the Spren are the Voidbringers. Oh, then I guess since the Spren then made a Thunderclast, it wouldn't be the Parshendi turning into one. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, the eyes and stuff, it's hinting at so much, but it's like, and come around next time.
Right?
For more answers.
So there are some passages basically saying these songs are so old, we don't really know how accurate they are or not. And we learn that dull form is like their basic form. Mm-hmm. It's the form they use to spy on the humans, and it used to be that was the only form, and then with mate form. So they're interesting.
Just before we move on, there was also just a little literary thing that was going on with the exhaustion spren.
Mm-hmm.
It just reminded me of Yasna having exhaustion spren, and she's also a scholar. As much as we don't like this sister here, she is a researcher, but she's a bit bloodthirsty, maybe.
Yeah, she's angry.
Mm-hmm.
Eshonai advocates for discussing peace with the Alethi, negotiating with them, and Venli questions Eshonai's motives for it. And she thinks it's because Eshonai's interested in the humans, or fascinated rather, and she doesn't think it likely that the Alethi will be cool with it.
Which hints at her hate, why she has this hatred. It's the thing of you've enslaved my people kind of thing.
Yeah. And then we get a little bit of a lore drop. Centuries ago, Demid said, we escaped both our gods and the humans. Our ancestors left behind civilization, power, and might in order to secure freedom. I would not give that up, Eshonai. Stormform. With it, we can destroy the Alethi army. It was at this point I wrote 2 notes to myself. One being, perhaps there's a parallel to be had between Rhythm and their old songs, and then the Dawn Chant on the Alethi side.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is Eshonai is similar, at least in letters, to the name Esther in the Bible, who essentially saved the Jews from being wiped out by Haman, and that's why we celebrate Purim.
That's good. That is definitely something he could be making use of.
Yeah. And there are 2 names later on that I think follow a similar thing, but we'll get to those names when we get to them. Eshonai believes that what she wants personally is meaningless as long as they're all in danger, and she promises to consider when they bring Stormform to the 5 to decide if they want to try it or not. She will consider whether or not to go along with it.
Mm.
And that's the first interlude.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get straight into Interlude 2, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
We get Ym, or Eam.
In the audiobook, it's Eam.
Eam, who is a cobbler. He's this happy little man, this joyful guy who's just appreciating the wonder that is his glasses. And we get the line, to live was to be a fragment of the Cosmere that was experiencing itself.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a big Cosmere line to me. And it makes me think of the epigraphs in Hero of Ages, where Sazed is like, everyone has a bit of preservation in them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my mind went to.
Yeah. Well, when he gets to that later story, definitely that comes up.
Very much so, yeah. Eam is working on something called a last, which is a wooden thing designed to help form shoes. And we get the line, that was the old way, the way it had been done for centuries. If something had been done one way for such a long time, he figured there was probably a good reason. And that is the line in which I started to formulate the connecting thread between the interludes being something to do with the past and tradition and
progress.
And progress, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We get that Eam has a spren companion.
Mm-hmm.
The spren had been coming more often lately, specks of light like those from a piece of crystal suspended in a sunbeam. When it stopped, light crept upward from it like small plants growing or climbing from their burrows. It sounds like that's a life spren, right? Because I think life spren were green in the first book.
Yeah, but he didn't say it was green, though.
You're right, he didn't. It sounds more like a light, but I suppose I hear plants and imagine it green. So, never mind then. Eam starts explaining that he's making shoes for children. As he is complimenting the spren, he's like, I'm so honored to be experiencing you. The spren shakes and says, he comes! Oh no, who's coming? I wondered if a Voidbringer, I wondered if Zaja or any number of those he's, right?
Yeah, I thought of it as like, is this, it's a she, is this spren like having some sort of flashback or something, or prophesying or whatever, like just going into a bit of a trance or something. It has nothing to do with the actual environment. It's kind of like the Everstorm comes kind of line. Maybe
right.
That's what she was on about. And then, yeah.
Right. Very much went through my mind as well.
Mm.
And it turns out that there is a kid, a street urchin kid, who is coming to the shop. And Eam presumes that that's who the spren is referring to. We later learn that it's not. But the entire experience with the kid, I'm very worried that the kid is a Voidbringer and the kid is going to kill him.
What? I didn't have that at all.
Yeah, that was my big worry. I was so on edge the whole conversation.
Like, I didn't find any malice in it at all. So I was like, I guess you were just waiting for that to turn to malice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
The kid comes in, he's limping, and says, they say you give away free shoes to urchins. Eam is like, well, no, not really. I'll exchange a pair of shoes for your story. which is kind of neat. It's a nice little charitable thing, because I assume he does, in fact, sell his shoes to adults. The urchin thing seems to be a bit of his own moral charity.
Yeah. And he seems to be, the children seem to become needing shoes, and there's seems to be more urchins where he is, because he made that comment that he needs more shoes for children lately.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let me just say it's Pinocchio. I'm thinking I know it's a cobbler. It's a different. It's like the guy's a carpenter, but it really gave me Pinocchio vibes.
Love it. I can totally see it, especially when the kid is like, "You're old, older than anyone I know. Grandpa old. You must know everything already. Why do you want to hear from me?" Eames says, "It's one of my quirks. Come now, let's hear it." I appreciated the following paragraph. The boy huffed but talked briefly. That wasn't uncommon. He wanted to hold his story to himself. Slowly, with careful questions, Eames pried the story free. I appreciated that characterization, like his story was so valuable to him, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah. Same, I think of Vin. Vin doesn't want to tell people stuff. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah. We get a lot of prose about how terrible the life of a street urchin is. He sees rot spren in the wound on the kid's foot, and Eames pulls out a brome. He wraps it up, so he hides it and pretends he has medicine, and he asks the spren for help and heals the wound, which I love that Eames is smart enough to hide the talent, if that makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The room is lit by 5 diamond chips. We get the line, "So far, Eames had been robbed of them only twice." And I'm like, kids, he's giving you free shoes. How dare you steal from him?
They got no parents. They're urchins. They're desperate. They don't know. Kids without parents. They'll go loose. They'll do whatever they want.
Still, it's like he does so much to help you. That's just, it's a dick move.
Hey, it's tough on these streets. Why doesn't he just give us his whole shop?
Right. Yeah, he's been giving out a lot of shoes lately, so he has to give one of the standard stock to the kid. And we get the line, "I need more treated hog's hide." And look, I know there are horses, I know there are chickens. Did we know that there are pigs in this world too? Hogs?
I suppose. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, you need hide. You've got a lot of chitin or whatever. Got a lot of basically keratin all over the place. But it's good to know that we've got other hide animals. Maybe they're cows too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Then we get a bit of an elaboration on this guy's philosophy religion thing.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "You and I are one." One what? One being. Long ago there was only one. One knew everything, but had experienced nothing, and so one became many, us people. The one who is both male and female did so to experience all things. One? You mean God? If you wish to say it that way, but it is not completely true. I accept no God. You should accept no God. We are Iriali and part of the long trail of which this is the 4th land. So that last sentence I don't know much about, but I underlined "you should accept no God" and wrote, "Can you say that? Heretic."
He's in a different place. He's not in an Alethi place, so it's fine. Sure. And this is an urchin, but yeah, this makes me go, oh, so he's some sort of Cosmere traveler. Like this race of Iriali are Cosmere travelers, and this is what did he say, the 4th land? So they go to planets, and this is the 4th planet. Yeah,
I definitely think that could be the case. The other thing is that one is both male and female, and between the revelation regarding Eshonai and this line and what we get in the recent chapter, that could be the through line for these interludes.
I prefer the other through line.
I agree.
The progress, future, past theme. It seems a lot stronger than wishy-washy girl and boy.
Yeah, I agree. The kid asks some questions about it, and Eam goes on to basically say, if you look at your hand close up enough, you might only see one finger and not get how it's connected to the others. But if you zoom out, hey, yes, they are one.
I think that's beautiful.
I agree. I like it. It's a neat philosophy.
Mm.
And when you harm others, you harm yourself. I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Eam thinks he might have gone over the kid's head, but the kid asks a more insightful question than Eam had expected when he says, why do you get to be the finger with the expensive ring while I gotta be the pinky with the broken fingernail?
Very good. Very sharp.
Yep. Eam responds, I know it sounds unfair, but there can be no unfairness, as we are all the same in the end, and I didn't always have this shop. You'd be surprised where I came from. The boy thinks that it all sounds dumb. Everyone should know everything if everyone is one. And Eam affirms, well, we did, but then we wanted variety to experience everything. So some of us have to be poor, some of us have to be rich. And then he does the good, responsible adult thing and says, yeah, your life is shit now. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but it will get better. It can get better, which is really sweet and empathetic and not inaccurate. The boy has the great line, I thought that you were going to tell me that life is awful, but it all don't matter in the end because we're going to the same place. That's true, but it isn't very comforting right now, is it? No. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This kid has a good amount of cynicism. He's like, listen, and he understood the whole philosophy. He's like, okay, fine, we're all going to the same place, so I'm supposed to be okay with my lot here. And then we've just got basically him admitting, I'm trying to comfort you.
Right.
Mm.
He goes on to say, when I make your life better, I make my own as well. And the kid says, nah, that's crazy. You're just a nice person. And then he leaves.
Which is cute, yeah.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
At that point, someone else comes. The Spren is like, he's still here. And there's a shadow moving in the darkness. And I want to clarify, I don't take that to mean there's a figure in the darkness who's cloaked in shadow and therefore looks like one. I imagine that it's literally a shadow.
A shadow person, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. We get the line, the shadow separated itself from the darkness, resolving into a man with dark Makabaki skin, all save for a pale crescent on his cheek. Didn't the guy in the Yasna chapter have a mark on his cheek? A pale mark?
I'm not sure. What this made me think of was the
Teravangian?
Yeah, the middleman with Teravangian and Shin and Zeth that found him and brought him to Teravangian or whatever. That other master that he said he had.
Oh, I think that's right. I think that's the accurate take, especially because I just went and looked at the Yasna chapter and it says the Asish man with a white birthmark on his cheek. So, yeah, I think you're right. There was that guy I totally forgot about that went to Zeth in that interlude.
Yeah, and he had gloves and everything. Not gloves. I just remember him being dressed a certain way. So that's just reminded me of him. I don't know if it's him, but yeah.
Right.
Oh, and also just something in the beginning of the chapter, he did talk about the Watcher in the military coat when he was wondering who the Spren was talking about. So this guy has probably been watching him for a while.
Yes, very true. We get the exchange. I had to look very hard to discover your indiscretion. Just 5 chips. You have lived a clean life since your youth as a carouser. A young man of means who drank and partied away what his parents left him. That is not illegal. Murder, however, is. I didn't know it would kill her. So, at this point I wrote in the margins, do only damaged people bond? And what I mean by that is Sanderson doing something here? Is he trying to do a literary where only people with trauma or something like that are special and therefore able to bond?
He might be doing that, but I think maybe it would be that anybody with everybody has something that will be traumatic to them in their lives, and that's the point where they would bond.
Sure. To use the word leery again, I feel like there was a trend going on for a little while in which it was popular to write mental illness as a superpower. And
I think the way that you can look at it is it's not really mental illness itself. It's just adversity in life, pain in life, things that you have to get over. Having emotional barriers, emotional turmoil, it's something that makes you better, stronger.
Sure. So I also do want to dive deeper into the line. I had to look very hard to discover your indiscretion.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Javert who lives a very black and white life and goes around hunting criminals regardless of whether or not they have sought atonement? What prompted you, I assume it's the Bond, to look into this man's history? How did you find these things out? Why are you bothering? Those are some things that went through my mind.
Yeah, I wondered if it was like something like this woman that he killed is this guy's mom or something. So it was much more mundane.
Oh, interesting.
So he's been on the hunt for his mom's killer for a long time.
Right. Which is possible. Although this guy seems a touch too dangerous and powerful for me to, I think, accept that. But it's not impossible, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Eam says, and we can't be certain how true it is, says that the bottle itself was supposed to be a sign and that it wasn't intended to kill her. But the guy says that he was an accomplice regardless. So I don't know if Eam is telling the truth here or not. It could be an excuse because he doesn't want to die. I don't think it really matters. And certainly the guy doesn't think so either. You are guilty nonetheless, he says.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to cope with that excuse. It's just like, oh, well, she's supposed to know. It's not my fault she didn't. Mm-hmm. Just trying to take away.
Yeah, he does say he did the job because he needed to eat.
Mm-hmm.
The streets aren't kind. It's also at this point that I have to ask, what about redemption? This is a guy who seems, from the earlier section, to have lived his life in a charitable fashion. He has tried to make the world a better place. I could see Eam believing that to be a form of atonement.
Mm-hmm.
And yet this guy does not seem to care. Again, it's why I invoke Javert.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
No, I see what you mean. And I do like the bond being something that attracts him there does make sense. Yeah. It seems random. Like you track this guy down 40 years ago. He did this. Is this like you need a certain excuse to kill him, but you wanted to kill him anyway? Like, I don't know.
Right. And here's the thing. You are doing this in the name of quote unquote justice. But from what I can gather from prior parts of the book, it seems to me that those with the Nahel bond are, especially one who is a healer, are gifted in such a way as to participate in preventing the desolation and the Everstorm. So that could almost make it such that this guy is working in advancement of the Everstorm, especially if you are right in saying that this is a guy who's working for Taravangian, who we know is working for the Everstorm. Of course, this guy could be being manipulated himself as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or everybody can be misled by certain beliefs that, oh no, the Everstorm, what you're doing is going to stop the Everstorm. You know, tracking down everybody who's bonded means we're not going to get the Knights Radiant back.
Right. So
just note as well, this healing that he's done he's only done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I don't know how this guy would know about the spren.
Right. So that's a mystery that we need to know.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls out a shard blade and Eam starts running. The spren wants him to take in some stormlight. The man shoves him against the wall. It was 40 years ago. Justice does not expire. The man shoved the shard blade through Eam's chest. Experience ended. What a line to end the chapter on.
Yeah, he's Dark Batman. He's Killer Batman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's some questions that I wrote to myself after that. Mm-hmm. Will the kid be blamed? Will the kid track down the murderer? Will the kid bond with Eam's partner? Oh no, is Teft in danger? Because Teft has a sordid history that has been emphasized thus far.
Yeah, is this guy just tracking down a list? You're on a naughty list and Teft is on it. I also wondered if the spren was going to bond with the boy. Because it would be also interesting to see what happens to a bonded spren once the human dies. Is there something else that happens? Do they also just go back to Shadesmar? What happens?
Yeah, I'm curious. Some options are, does the Spren die too? Does the Spren find a new person? Do they go stupid again, or do they go back to Shadesmar? I want to know.
And is that boy, can you tell me? But that is that boy just a side character that never comes back? He's unnamed.
True.
Who knows?
And thus we get to the recent chapter. We get a great intro line to the chapter. Rhysand liked to pretend that her pot of shin grass was not stupid, but merely contemplative. I thought that was funny.
I really like her. But most of the way through, yeah.
Yeah, I like her too.
I like her.
I don't so much like the chapter, but I like her.
Okay.
The tirade is coming soon. Don't worry. She's on a catamaran over the sea. It is beautiful. She named the grass Tivink, which means sullen, which caused her Babsk to laugh because it was a symbolic name to suggest that her Babsk was right in the lesson that he was trying to teach her.
But she wasn't sullen. The plant was.
Right. So yeah, the waters are still almost as serene as the Pure Lake. Vestim is 2 boats over, so there's several boats here. They aren't on one large ship. We note that Vestim has hired Parshmen, but I don't think Vestim is a Lethe, so it's fine. Those wouldn't be spies, would they?
Yeah. They're really far off. What information do they need?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are 16 sleek catamarans with goods purchased. And we learn that Vestim is sick. Rhysand is worried, and she has the thought,
and the blood you saw on his handkerchief?
I wrote, oh no, I like Vestim. Don't die. He's wise and smart and seems good.
Yeah, I was worried about him. I was like, she's not ready for this. She's not ready yet.
Right? She keeps her pot very clean with the grass, but she doesn't like soil because it gets everything dirty. And she's riding in her own boat with someone named Goo.
Yep. Simple.
Yeah, so this is the first of 2 things that I will offer a light criticism for. And I think it's just a me thing. The line is, Goo, the flotilla's guide, rode in her own boat just behind her. That suggests to me that Goo is a woman. But then the next sentence is, he looked a lot like a Pure Laker with those long limbs, the leathery skin, and dark hair. Right?
Oh, yes, I also noticed that. Yeah.
Thank you. So then...
it got a bit wishy-washy. Yeah, it happens again? Yeah, it happens twice.
Yeah, at the rear of Rhysand's boat, Kylerm, head of their guard, played with her parasol, opening it and closing it again. He seemed to consider it a wondrous invention. That's confusing to me.
It's confusing, but it is her parasol.
Yes.
So, yeah, I listened to this twice. So the first time I had to go, what? I missed that and whatever. So the second time it was like, oh, it makes sense. Like I knew I noticed it, but I didn't go, oh my God. I was just like, that's funny.
Right. Although when you consider what we get later in this chapter, and then in the last chapter with the one is male and female, could be on purpose.
You got sensitive.
I got.
Yeah, no, I think you got sensitive, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, this Goo guide is aggravatingly vague for Rhysand, but he's like, we'll get there soon, but he can't get more specific. She reflects on how Vestim keeps taking her to exotic places that no one else really goes to, and she had initially thought that going to exotic places meant more cosmopolitan, but she reflects on how this really is the way of a successful trader, to go to the places that no one else goes to get things that no one else does. It's smart.
Yeah. At this point, she reminds me of, in a way, Shalon, in that she had a certain expectation and it's different. She was a bit naive. I don't know. She just reminded me, just the fact that she's learning things that just sparked for me.
I agree.
I think it's why I like her.
Yeah, and there's another moment later on in the chapter that screams Shalon to me as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that's on purpose. Yeah,
very much so.
Mm-hmm.
We learn that the islands move, and Gu says it's hard. Patterns are off these days. The gods do not walk where they always should. We shall find her. Yes, we shall. So considering the later knowledge we get that these islands are creatures that move, this sentence about how the patterns are off strikes me as fairly ominous, because animals know when weather events are going to happen and they migrate. So I feel like they sense the oncoming desolation.
There's something changing. They sense a change. Yeah.
Yep. This sea is deeper than the pure lake, with what sounds to me like coral that could rip up boats.
Yeah.
Rhys is worried a little bit about Gu, and we get the line, what would they do if he led them into an ambush out here on these silent waters? Suddenly she felt very glad that Fistim had ordered their guard to monitor his fabrial that showed if people were drawing near. It land. And I wrote to myself, why was this cut off? And the reason I wrote that is because if something's cut off, I think it's because Sanderson specifically doesn't want to give us the answer yet. So I feel like there's something important there.
So, look, it could, something about the fabrial could be about that, or it could be, it was just about an ambush that she's thinking about.
Sure.
But the it there might be either of those things. So, ambush or fabrial that we are not hearing about.
Right. She looks at the island. It's bigger than she expected, which I suppose it must be. There's no beach. It's not flat and low, but mountainous and green. So it's very, very big.
Mm-hmm.
Rhys had read that when two islands get too close, there's war. But not too many people write about the Reshi. Gu says sometimes they go to war, sometimes they don't. It's the Taina itself that determines it. And in hindsight, knowing that the island is a creature, I don't think that's been revealed yet. Do you think...
Yeah, it seems all mystical. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it seems all mystical.
Decide. Yeah.
Do you think that the not always Gu is referring to is reproduction?
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes just sharing habitat, not maybe they can pass each other. They don't, just like any animals, they can pass without actually fighting each other.
Right. When Gu says the Taina itself determines, Rhys says, the island decides, flatly, humoring him, and we get the line, primitives. What was Babs expecting to gain by trading here? And this is the first line that emphasizes her view of these people as primitives, which may or may not be true, but emphasizes to me, again, that we are continuing with her journey in the first book on cultural relativism and not judging other cultures.
Yeah, and very much a Shalorn kind of arrogance coming out there.
Yeah. Eventually, one of the rocks lifts itself, and she realizes it's a leg. So this is a creature. So before we got this idea, I thought about the floating island in Subnautica. That is kind of how I pictured these moving islands, which I think they're held aloft by these strange sphere things below the island. But here it reminds me more of these things from Elden Ring, which are these giant moving mountain platform things. Although I imagine this to be much bigger.
There's a mountain sort of monster in Monster Hunter.
Ooh.
Yeah, you climb on him and it's got all different magma cores and things like that. So I thought of that. And I also thought of How to Train Your Dragon.
Hey.
Because, yeah, it's something, I think that the one island, most of it was one dragon at some point. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but it gave me that idea.
Nice. We get the line, this was the largest beast she'd ever seen or ever heard of, big enough to make mythological monsters like the chasm fiends of distant Nata-Natan seem like pebbles in comparison. Like, woman, have you been to the Shattered Plains in the last 7 years? Mythological.
Well, she's heard about them, okay? She knows. She knows stuff about them.
Sure.
She knows it all.
Apparently the secret of these moving islands is kept a secret just so people can laugh at the foreigners that come.
Yeah.
That's mean. It's more like they love the look of shock and surprise.
Yeah. Why not?
It's worth not spoiling, Kylerm says.
Yeah. Although, if the right person hears about it, they're going to try and kill the island.
Yep. So this idea of these people living on a moving island. I know Sanderson is a big, big fan of Terry Pratchett and Discworld, which I think is a world that's on the back of a turtle. I wonder if that was his inspiration here.
Yeah, there's lots of mythology that has that the world is on the back of a turtle. So
yes,
it's not a jump.
Right. We get lots of description about the thing, vines, rock buds, and she's very surprised to see swimmers diving naked. She's not a prude, but shouldn't they wear something? And Kylerm says, that's another thing we don't warn the newcomers about.
For the same reason, just fun times.
Yeah. So, Nudist Island. Reeson again thinks that these are primitives.
Yep, she has that thought a few times in this chapter.
Yep. They dock. They're going to pull the boats back. It's not safe to tie the boats to the island, which makes sense. She goes over to Vestim. He's too sick to go do the negotiation, and Reeson offers to go to the king and the trader and ask them to come down to him. To which Vestim says, no, these people aren't like the Shin, you need to be bold. Which is confusing to Reeson because these people seem so relaxed, which again is emphasizing that don't go with your first judgment. Look deeper, kind of an idea. Reeson takes a closer look at the divers and she realizes that they are of different ethnicities. So the relaxed nature of the island attracts people.
Yeah, you basically, the vibe I get here is this is like a hippie commune out in the wilderness, and people just go there when they're sick of their lives in the real world. But this is it's fine where they are. They're doing what they can do. It's fine.
Escape from the world in a way.
Yeah.
We get the line, people seek out this place. They like the life of the Reshi. Here they can simply go with the island. Fight when it fights another island. Relax otherwise. There will be people like this in any culture, for every society is made of individuals. You must learn this. Do not let your assumptions about a culture block your ability to perceive the individual, or you will fail. It's interesting to me how naturally they speak of fighting in that segment.
Yeah, just fight when you need to fight. It's part of life.
Yep. There's no, strong judgment against it, which you think there might be for such a relaxed people. No, it's just how things are.
Yeah. I think it's a good lesson here. So yes, we've got this theme of cultural relativism that, there's no bad culture, but it's like, well, just keep in mind that cultures are made up of individuals as well. So you can't ignore the existence of cultures. You can't be like, we're all equal, all of us do the same thing, and everybody's values are the same. You can't do that. But at the same time, it would be folly to think that just because one person is part of a culture, they have absolutely everything, all of the attributes you expect them to have because of their culture. It's a good lesson. I didn't get too itchy about it.
Sure. Vestim tells Reeson that she has to do the trade, which makes her nervous. He warns her that they know much of foreigners, more than we know of them, which she doesn't seem to quite clock until much later into this chapter. But he's really given her what she needs to know. They consider the trade to be like a fight, and he hopes that Talik is not there because he's their best trader. That they consider it to be a battle, it's about posturing. And we get the line, I once had the misfortune to be on an isle during war. And I wondered if that's connected to the comment later about how Vestim, what was it? He killed a Korok?
Killed something. Yeah.
Something? Yeah.
Might have been the same trip. Yeah.
Yeah. That went through my head in the reread. But yeah, basically fighting between these islands is primarily made up of boasting and yelling and arguing, followed by a few spears and arrows and stuff, and then back to boasting. Even their fights are relaxed, it seems. Vestim says, you are not ready for this, child. And I'm like, well, that's a way to pump her up.
Yeah, but he's good. The way he says it's good that you realize it. So it's like the awareness means she's learned something. She's not just arrogant and like, I'm fine, I'm good.
Yeah. We get the exchange. They will not suffer us long on their island unless we agree to join them permanently.
Which would require...
Well, for one, it requires giving all you own to their king.
Lovely. I wonder how he'd look wearing my shoes.
So, before we continue on with the passage, I'm going to say, I feel like on reread that is cheeky foreshadowing about the reveal about the king.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just cheeky little... It's a little jab.
Yeah. So then Rhys goes on.
You still haven't told me what we're trading for.
They know. Your conversation will not be a negotiation. The terms were set years ago.
What?
This is not about what you can get, but about whether or not they think you are worthy of it. Convince them. Passions guide you, child. Do well. This really annoyed me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to tell her. Because her not knowing hampers her ability to negotiate. And I have to wonder, I can only really presume this was done so that Sanderson could reveal what the trade was for at the end of the chapter. And it's like, that's kind of cheap. I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he does give the answer. It's, it's a test. And that's why.
Yeah, but
did that and whatever.
She's still got to know. She's got to know what she's arguing for. Or, more information is always better than less.
Yeah, of course. But, in this apprenticeship thing, and he's sick, so the way I see it, yeah, it's irritating. I get it. But I see this as just part of him testing her.
Yeah, but
she's got to figure it out on her own.
Sure, but if you don't want to, reveal what it actually is, he could lie. He's coordinated this with the king and the traitor, so it's not like...
No, but then lying is even worse than giving her the wrong information.
Well, no, but he can tell her she thinks this trade is for X, Y, and Z rather than this other thing, so go along with it. That because she does need to know what it is she's trading for, or at least she has to think she knows.
Mm.
Did I say I was going to be critical this episode?
Yes, you did. Yeah. It's funny.
Good, I'm glad. So she goes onto the island. She realizes that they cut into the shells, and Kylerm says, Trolls can't feel their shells. This monster probably can't either. And I said, but turtles can, so you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
But probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it would have done something to them if it hurt.
I agree.
Mm.
We get a description of the traditional Phelan sword, a gatet, which sounds neat. Kylerm seems anxious. It's very humid here, and they see another island in the distance. Kylerm does not want to be on the island in a time of war.
Seems fair. That's a good thing not to want to do.
I agree. The higher they go, they see cliff divers who apparently make it a habit of doing the extra tall dives to impress the foreigners.
Make them uncomfortable with the heights, yeah. Again, more of that. Mm-hmm.
Yep. She hears someone say, they do it to shock you. They always jump from greater heights when a foreigner is here. And hanging upside down is a lanky man with pale white skin, verging on blue, in a loincloth, with many, many intricate tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
And a Nean with a Voidbringer shadow. Oh, and blue fingernails. So This is Axes the Collector, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that is him. Parallels, you remind us?
I think so.
You're like, what was his story? We need another interlude to see how he landed up there. Because last we saw him, he was like just in a town or something and like basically dumpster diving.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was exciting to see him, but also noteworthy that she considers him to be taboo and that she considers his shadow to be Voidbringer.
Yeah. There's crazy mythology around this guy.
Yeah, and again, I think I had mentioned in a previous episode this idea that maybe these Amians are descendants of human-spren hybrid mating thing. Although I don't know how one would go about doing that, but that's its own thing. He's giving his best nonchalant, flippant attitude, while Kylerm and Rhys are both fairly freaked out. Amiens are very bad luck. She's not super superstitious, but, well, come on. It's an Amiens.
Yeah, it's like, but I want to know more about these Amiens and what you think about it. It's like, oh, what curse did you bring on them? So okay, so they believe that they're a curse. They're just like bad spirits. I don't know.
Yep. What did they do? It could go back to the Voidbringers. The creature says, "Don't ask about the soul of their god. They don't like to speak of that, it turns out. Must be spectacular to let the beasts grow this large, beyond even the spren who inhabit the bodies of ordinary great shells." So there are a couple of things there to unpack. Don't ask about the soul of their god. That's going to be a big thing for Rhysand with whatever spren thing it is that she gets at the end, right? We know how seriously they take these gods. The idea that Rhysand at the end of all of this is essentially going to get some sort of spren thing.
Well, she was saved by that god.
Yes,
That
she was
spren.
saved by the soul of their god, right?
Yeah. So there's two things there.
Yeah. And it's also interesting that he talks about spren inhabiting bodies, especially coming off the backs of the Parshendi POV, where they talk about using spren to change their form. So
yeah, they have to bond. They have to bond with spren to make a transformation. So it's as if these crustacean type beings can hold spren.
Yeah. It's strange, and it's not just the Parshendi, it's the Great Shells. So it's very interesting. They carry on because they don't want to spend time with the evil Amien.
There's also, she gets called Trade Master.
Yep, which she thinks is wild because she's still young. She's not an adult yet. They go by a rift, which is like a chasm that she would not be able to leap across. And they make their way to the head, where she sees soldiers protecting the king. They are indeed stern and Alethi-like, so not all are relaxed here. She goes closer. The man wore full voluminous robes of vibrant green and yellow. She gets a sense for how high she is. It's very high. She has a little bit of vertigo, and she determines to be bold and steady. She would not misjudge them the way she misjudged the Shin. And she notes the king. The king seemed young, at least from behind, built like a youth, or...
No.
Rhysand thought with a start as the king turned. It was a woman, old enough that her hair was graying, but not so old that she was bent with age. So...
Did this upset you immediately?
Almost immediately, because...
Yeah?
Almost immediately, because the next paragraph is the tradesperson coming out, and I presumed that there was a switcheroo type thing going on here, and even Rhysand asks that. He's like, "No, that's the king." The man laughed. "You stand beside him, yet you ask that of me? We are led by a king. Gender is irrelevant." Ugh. And then we get the line, and this is all important. It seemed to Rhysand that gender was part of the definition, but it wasn't worth arguing over. And then, before I get into my diatribe, I will fast forward to, "My parents sent me to train as a child. I had one of your babsks. I made trademaster on my own before returning here." This is like 3 pages ahead. "Your parents being the king and queen?" Rhysand guessed again. He eyed her. "The king and king's consort. You could just call her a queen," and then Talik ends up being like, "Nope, this is over. We're done." I don't know how to quantify cringe, but this is cringe.
So yeah, so it wasn't so much upsetting, it's just like it was cringy.
It is.
And that is upsetting. You don't want to be cringed out of the book.
Yeah, and there are a handful of like different directions I want to tackle this from: the in-world level, the creative decision of it level, and as much as I try not to get into it too much, the culture war level of it as well.
Yeah.
So I guess on a character level, when a female character demands a male title, it kind of strikes me as an insecure attribute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, trying to prove something.
Yeah, sort of a false bravado type thing. And on a creative level, I have this knee-jerk reaction now. And I didn't used to have it.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't. You don't see this as a creative choice. I think it feels like something that comes from a received opinion which demands a balancing of cultural scales. And did I say I'm a bit culture-brained on this now?
Yeah, I like we've said that before on the show, that, you know, previously we wouldn't have reacted in certain ways or have a knee-jerk reaction. Like, I don't know, say if Mulan had never happened and then it came out today, okay, the movie as it is, the animation, if it came out today, people would be like, oh my gosh, she's a girl boss and it's got all kinds of woke stuff in it. People would start saying that, but actually it's just a normal movie and it's a great story. So yes, the culture war of it all makes people more sensitive. And
Sure.
I think, yeah, that might have been what's happened to you.
Perhaps, although my recollection of Mulan isn't that she forsakes her femininity. She literally has to pretend to be a man.
Yeah, but exactly. That's exactly what people would say. They would say, it's got really woke messaging because this woman has to go against society and all of that. It's so easy it would turn into that kind of discussion.
Sure. Sanderson does expertly include the, I guess, counter opinion, which a lot of, I think, modern day Hollywood writers don't do, or at least they treat it as shit. When Reeson thinks, I thought the gender went with the title, but it doesn't matter now. Yes, on the story level, considering the circumstances, she is the king, and Reeson wants something from her.
Mm-hmm.
I get the go along to get along element of it. Like, that's how I am.
Yeah. There's no need to argue about it the way she did slip it in later, but it's like there's no need to even, especially when you're negotiating a trade or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need to come in and criticize the culture.
Right. But then there's this element of considering that Reeson's narrative function, her whole purpose in this story is about cultural relativism and not judging other cultures. I'm kind of interpreting this as Sanderson on a meta level asserting an acceptance of the idea that women can be kings, you know?
Yeah, that's how it played out to you.
Yeah. Do you disagree?
Well, it just didn't play out like that to me. I did have little cringe, and yeah, I did have that sort of. My knee-jerk reaction was just relax, calm yourself. You don't, so I noticed it, but I just took it in my stride. It didn't put me off or anything like that. I just went along with the story. Yeah, it wasn't as eye-rolly or ham-fisted as modern writing could be. So I was okay with it.
Cool. There's also a part of all of this that, to whatever degree I can find this offensive, or to whatever degree women should or shouldn't find this offensive, do you feel as if this, again, because we talked about whether or not this is an insecure character trait or not, do you feel like this undermines femininity and actual women leaders and characters?
Yeah, logically it does. I see. There's nothing wrong with the word queen. You don't need to abandon the word queen. There's nothing.
Offensive?
Yeah, that definitely logically. Yeah, it's just, why would you do that? It's my problem with a certain kind of feminism anyway. You don't have to abandon femininity in order to be empowered. But again, with this case, I didn't take it on a character level either. It just seemed like something that the culture does. So she goes along with it, and it's just a language thing as well, actually, because they're like, well, once you get this name king, then you have to be dealt with this way in language, and you get the pronoun he and all of that. And they don't make her, put her breasts away and things like that. So
right.
that's she's still a woman. She's still visibly a woman, and that's okay. But I'm not going either. I'll say as well. I'm not going, woohoo, yes, queen, yay. Look at her ruling. I'm so excited for her. I'm really not phased. I'm just like, okay, it's a woman. There you go.
Sure.
That's nice.
My mind goes to Daenerys, and I don't mean to compare Gurm to Sanderson in that way. My mind goes to her because she's a character who accrues many female titles, Khaleesi, Mother of Dragons, and so on. And I think she's generally regarded as what people might call a strong female character. She's certainly extremely impactful. And I kind of feel like if she got hung up on being called a king, it would undercut her character, make her feel less strong, more so than more.
Yeah, I can see that. But then again, probably if she were to insist on you using queen, then I might find that cringe. So I don't know. I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Whenever this theme comes up, there is some way messing it up, I suppose, or pissing someone off.
Sure. What if we just put it all aside for like 10, 15 years and then maybe we can come back to it? So with all of that out of the way, Rhysand explains that her master is indisposed and she is authorized to speak on his behalf. Talek is immediately adversarial to her, which is when she says, "My master warned me about you." He's like, "Oh, well then he's not a complete fool, only mostly," which was a funny exchange. He goes and sits down near the edge and she does as well, but it's very scary for her, so she kind of crawls to it.
Yeah, these are things that you do when you're trading. You put yourself in difficult positions because you want something from the other person.
Yep. There are people off to the side tying fruit to vine ropes and then lowering it down to the god to eat, for the god to eat. Rhysand begins to argue for the trade. She doesn't go. She's still like, turning me aside would be pointless if the terms have already been met. The king is listening in, and Talek says, "It would serve the same purpose as everything in life, to please Relu Na." And Relu Na is their god, and I thought that name sounds kind of similar to New Ralik. Of the Pure Lake, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Just noteworthy, there was an earlier comparison about the sea to the Pure Lake, so these are almost like cousins. I didn't look at the map, so I don't know visually.
There's relation.
Yeah, how far.
Yeah, same. I also didn't look at the map. Yeah.
Talek explains that Relu Na approves of boldness and, more importantly, respect. If we do not respect the one with whom we trade, then we should not do it. Again, this is, especially in hindsight, knowing this has been pre-negotiated, it's really emphasizing a lesson to Rhysand about respecting the people that you talk with and deal with. And we get the line, "What ridiculous logic. If a merchant followed that line of reasoning, he'd never be able to trade. Except in her months with Vistim, it seemed that he'd often sought out people who liked trading with him, people he respected. Those kinds of people certainly would be less likely to cheat you. Perhaps it wasn't bad logic, simply incomplete." I'm not sure I see the flaw in the logic. Do you see it, Kitty? It's missing for me.
There's no flaw. The word incomplete works because it's like, well, then we need to go on to a lesson about how you gain respect. And there's varying levels of respect that you can gain with different kinds of people, which will make certain trades easier or more difficult. So yeah, it's okay. I don't think it's flawed. I think she's right when she says it's incomplete. It's like, yeah, you can. I suppose the flaw is that you can do trade with people you don't respect. It's possible. It happens, but it's the best way, probably. That's the best way to do it.
Sure. So she tells herself to try thinking from the trader's point of view. What is it they want and why do they want it? And that's good, except it leads to her being condescending.
Yeah, she didn't think of how he's going to hear this.
Yeah. Like, it's not incorrect thinking, but the delivery needs to go better. She basically argues you can't do everything yourself. You can't live entirely in isolation. Our ancestors did just fine. Your ancestors survived without them because they had to, and you don't have to. This pisses off Talik.
Yeah, because, oh no, don't come and talk to me about the benefits of capitalism. You extremist.
I'm so tired of explaining this. We live simply. That does not make us stupid. For years, the outsiders came, trying to exploit us because of our ignorance. We are tired of it, woman. Interesting that he uses woman as a slur here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you say is true. Not true. Obvious. Yet you say it as if we'd never stop to consider. Oh, medicine. Of course we need medicine. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, I was just going to sit here and die.
It's pretty funny. I like him.
Yeah. And he's like, so the condescension is just dripping off of you.
Mm-hmm.
You think we don't know what goes on in the outside world, but we do. And Rhys realizes that he was trained in Thelena. And that's where we get the exchange I read earlier about him being the child of the king and king.
King and king's consort.
King and king's consort, yes. She insults again. You could just call her a queen. He says, the trade is not happening. We're done here.
Yeah, so her saying you could call her a queen is just adding on. It's like going, you know, it's a bit of a criticism where you don't know each other that way. Okay, you can't talk about your cultural differences right now.
Yeah,
especially when you're the one that's coming cap in hand, like waiting. Like you're trying to trade, so it seems like the power dynamic would be don't push it.
Yeah.
So that this is where I almost said don't push it, Shalon, which is exactly what it feels like because she's just like that.
And there's also a distinction between being argumentative and being persistent. She doesn't have to insult them, but she can continue arguing with persistence rather than adversarial nature.
Keep the conversation going so that you can find ways to talk them into it.
Yeah.
But she's just frustrated and desperate.
Yeah, and then they go back and forth with different arguments and rebuttals. You suggest you respect him, so just do it. He's sickly. I won't take advantage of him. That line really makes Rhys think that these people are strange. But it's like, yeah, no, it's a good thing if you don't want to take advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's like, if the trade was already agreed to, what advantage are you going to be taking of them? But that's its own thing.
Yeah, it's just coming off as weird customs to me. It's like, okay, you're just like, I don't have this primitives, feeling to it towards it. It's more like, like when Rock is talking about weird things, the way his culture works, it's exactly the same for me.
Yeah.
And, I'm just like, okay, you're weird. You guys are weird because you're not what I'm used to. That's literally what weird is about, guys.
Sure. So it'll take years for her to earn their respect. And the king interjects and says she has been impressed and Rhys has earned the right to argue for the trade, which confuses Rhys. She thought she had been making those arguments.
Yeah. It's a weird, another thing that I could see, the way that they use this phrase, argument for the trade, seems like that's just how they approach things.
Yeah.
Argument for the trade is, I suppose, selling.
Right.
You may sell.
Yep. So Rhys thinks,
I've won the first fight. Like the warriors on the battlefield. I've dueled and been judged worthy to spar with one of greater authority.
So that greater authority phrase will be coming back later, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The king speaks, and Talik interpreted. The kings say that you are talented, but that the trade cannot, of course, continue. You should return with your Babsk when he comes again. In a decade or so, perhaps we will trade with you. And so Rhys says, is this how Vistim gained respect? Talik says yes. Rhys calls out, you didn't interpret that. Finally, he does, and Talik himself is surprised to learn that Vistim slew a Korakot with their hunters. Okay, so I guess it probably wasn't the war then, but a hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Rhys is surprised to think of Vistim as slaying something, and we get the line, though he obviously hadn't always been the wizened old ledgerworm that he was now, she'd imagined he'd been a wizened young ledgerworm in the past. I laughed. That was a cute line.
Yeah. Yeah, she is, this is another thing. She's witty. She's very entertaining to read.
Right. They again pressure her to go back to Vestim, and Rhysand thinks that he's dying. This could be his final trade. And that is really what motivates Rhysand to do what she ends up doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big character moment for her, I think. And it's like, I feel like Rhysand already won. She doesn't need to do this, knowing in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, well, she thinks, she thinks this is failure. This is she was entrusted with this, and it's very important. She needs to do absolutely everything. She cannot walk away empty-handed.
Right. She makes a few more arguments that I don't think are terribly weak. I think they're reasonably strong, to put it another way. Can you not trust his judgment that I'm worthy? You can't substitute for personal experience. You as king know the importance of trusting those beneath you. You can't be everywhere, know everything. At times you must accept the judgment of those you know. Vestim is such a man.
Very good argument.
I agree. Talik responds that respect has already been paid by our agreeing to this meeting with you in the first place, and sends her on her way, with the instruction that she tell him that she proceeded far enough to speak with the king personally. Which is probably more than he expected.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that's the end of the meeting. Rhysand turns away, and she gets the idea that she needs to speak with someone with more authority.
Like, oh no.
Yeah, she's telling herself how stupid this idea is, but not to think. And I'm like, yeah, this is really stupid.
But she doesn't think, because she's like, don't think about it. Just do it, because she's so desperate and so determined.
Yep. She grabs a vine and jumps down to the god's head, which shocks everyone present. It's very dangerous.
She does it with quite a lot of ease. I'm like, I would fall. That's it. I'd be done. Like, oh God, I would not be able to do that.
Yeah.
And in a skirt.
Right? Rhysand is saying, Reluna approves of boldness, and Talik responds, there's a difference between boldness and stupidity. But then, interestingly, as Talik is ordering her to be pulled back up, the king is like, hold on a minute, let's see where this goes. So,
Yeah.
I low-key blame the king for what happens to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's asking the god, but she doesn't really know what to expect. She doesn't really expect anything to happen. Eventually, the king demands she return. Rhysand hopes the negotiations will continue, and Talik says, well, that's not important. You've been issued a command. And I wrote to myself, he should have just said yes. It would have gotten her up.
Yes! Exactly. And then you could say, okay, one more sentence, cool, negotiations over.
Yeah. He really should have said yes. It was dumb on Talik's part.
He's a bit of a dick.
Very much so. The rope snaps. The shouts grew frantic above, though Rhysand barely noticed them as panic struck. She did not fall gracefully, but as a flurry of screaming cloth and legs, her skirt flapping, her stomach lurching. I laughed at the bluntness of the line, she did not fall gracefully.
Just screaming cloth. It's a comedic thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad she doesn't die, because then I'd be laughing at her dying.
Very much so, yeah. We get the line, she saw an eye, the god's eye. And that is the big Shallan comparison for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was down on a rope. She went down a rope to be bold and to pursue her career, I suppose. And yeah, she took a risk. She sees the eye as well, and she gets hurt.
Yep.
Shallan didn't get hurt, but Shallan has suffered quite an injury.
Yes.
By losing Yasna.
Very much so. And Shallan was saved by the Santhid, and
that's true.
Rhysand is saved by this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think that the Great Shells are smarter than we know.
Yeah, way smarter. And it will be interesting to see what Spren Sheila ends up bonding with and how. Because you're like, if anyone needs to be a surge binder, it's this one.
This was a daringly stupid feat, to be certain.
Mm-hmm.
Rhysand awakes. She hears Talik. She hears Vestim. She's floating, drifting. She wakes up. Her mind is cloudy, and her legs don't move. I don't think we actually get any prose about her arms moving either, but I think it's just her legs that are paralyzed. I don't think she's a paraplegic.
Yeah, I think because there is a line that it seems like she can take, she takes something to drink.
Well, that's the thing is,
Yeah.
I looked at that line and I think it's handed to her, but she doesn't pick it up. But I think the expectation is that she would be able to pick it up.
Yeah.
So, hard to say.
And she does have tingling in her arm at some point, which she feels the whatever the creature is, like, crawl next to her.
Yes, that's true. Rhys says, I lived. Vistim says, barely. The spren cushioned your fall. At that point, I had a question. Do the spren have physical bodies? Like, I know we've seen a couple spren that have been unique, and I think uniquely different than what I would categorize as generic spren. I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. Like, I think there was one Axes noted in his interlude chapter, and obviously we've got what the spren seem like in Shadesmar, and obviously they must if the Amiens are descended from hybrid, but I had always presumed that generic spren were sort of this more misty, ethereal, small things that popped up from time to time rather than physical things that people could interact with. So this idea that she fell and the spren caught her rather than the god itself or something is interesting and noteworthy to me.
Mm-hmm. We had that guy that was tied up. He did talk about how big these spren are. So there is that as well. So and we do have Syl lifting a leaf. So maybe the size also helps out with the physicality a bit.
Fair. Rhys says she did what she did to try and prove courage and to be bold. Vistim blames himself for this, and Rhys realizes that Vistim was Talik's Bobsk, and that this whole thing was a setup. He's not as sick as he appears, and it was all done to train her. My note here was, good, I'm glad Vistim isn't as sick as he was made out to be, because I didn't want him to die.
Yeah, that's great. I'm like, he still coughs. I'm like, please tell me it's for real.
Right.
That he's fine. Yeah.
Right. Vistim believes he's been a fool, and he did consider this a practice with real stakes. So it sounds like if Rhys failed here, the deal would have failed. There was no, this is just a play acting to get her some experience, and then we'll do the trade after. No, this was legit.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. She asks if she'll walk again, and Vistim says, I don't know, but you will trade again. Passions, daring to go above the king's authority? Being saved by the island's soul itself? The other islands will be clamoring to trade with us.
Yeah, it works. She has done something, but at what cost?
But at what cost?
And yeah, there is the line. She didn't take the cup and kept her eyes closed. So it's just the thought that she didn't take the cup. We have no confirmation that she couldn't or she didn't want. She just didn't want to try.
Yeah. And with regard to the prickling that you mentioned, the line is, she felt a prickling pressure on her arm and opened her eyes with a snap. Something crawled there about as big as the palm of her hand, a creature that looked like a kremling with wings that folded along the back. So I guess my first big question for you is this thing a spren? And is it bonded to her? Is she a surge binder now? Because the reason I ask that is that prickling sensation she's feeling real or a nature of the spren bond? I don't think she's a paraplegic. I think it's just her legs.
Yeah. If this is a spren, it's a spren inhabiting something physical. It's an actual creature that everybody can see.
Agreed.
It might be a baby, what do you call it?
A baby god?
Not Thunderclass. No, the guys that are at the Shattered Plains.
Baby Parshendi?
No,
Chasm Fiends.
The monsters. Yeah, related to Chasm Fiends or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But I don't know why it would be there. Why would it be there and not at the Shattered Plains? So it doesn't make sense.
Right. Maybe this isn't even a spren, but just something entirely different. But she asks what it is, and Vistim says, the thing we trade for, a treasure that very few know still exist. They were supposed to have died with Amia, you see, which is a big thing there.
Mm-hmm.
So spren related, if not a spren.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the reason they came here to do this trade is because Talik had the corpse of one of these things to sell. Kings pay fortunes for them. So the trade went through, he got the corpse, and I guess they don't even consider it theirs because of what happened. The line is, the Reshi could not command one of the Larkin. This was given you by the island itself. What's a Larkin? I guess it is different than a Spren.
Yeah. Is it a baby island? I don't know. No, it's something a creature, and it's got eyes of solid silver. So what?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be bonded to her. It's a very special thing that this was given to her. They are together now. But what is it, man? And it has eyes of solid silver. Dorkus, remind me if we've seen monsters with eyes of solid silver. Didn't we have red-eyed monsters?
Yes. I think so. Yeah, those were the Spren in the flashback.
Okay, because it ending with eyes of solid silver feels like it's a reveal that we should know. I was like, Dorkus will know.
Yeah, no, maybe it sets it in opposition to the Voidbringers.
Mm-hmm.
And then that brings us to the last interlude.
Literally, last legion.
Yeah. So they have captured a storm Spren in a gemstone. Did we know that Spren could be captured in gemstones?
I did not. I don't remember it being spoken about.
Okay, I think so as well. I know that those two Ardents discovered that they can freeze Spren, but there was no mention of it being in gemstones. It does make me wonder if the spheres don't have Stormlight but Spren in them, and it does make me wonder, what are the Surgebinders inhaling then, if it's Spren?
Life itself.
Eshonai is speaking with someone named Thud, who is a warpair in Eshonai's personal division. Eshonai is wearing her uniform. There's a lot of contrast in many ways to Dalinar, I think, in this chapter. Dalinar is sort of this natural soldier, but he feels stifled and ill-placed playing the politics game. And Eshonai here is feeling stifled and constricted, but soldierly in this soldier role. So I think there are some interesting similarities and differences between these two characters.
Yeah.
Bila asks if the Storm Spren will help them kill humans. Otherwise, she doesn't care. And again, that speaks to this. The Parshendi really, really don't like the humans. I think there's a lot of hatred and animosity going on now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a conversation a little bit later about that, because I don't remember if there was a specific point. I think there was, though, that made me want to talk about what I want to say. Anyway.
Okay.
Thud asks if Venli will be the one to see if the Storm Spren can give them a new form, and Eshonai says if the five give their permission today. Bila again is like, but will it help me kill humans? So, emphasize.
She's very soldierly. Listen, I'm in war form. What do you want from me? This is all I'm here for.
Yeah. The hatred and resentment is growing. It's what we do now, after 7 years of them killing us.
Well, also, yeah, but also just think about it. There's this idea of work form having a difficult time being violent. So their actual forms lead them to be more prone to certain things.
That's true. And Eshonai is uniquely mentally stoic?
Present, yeah.
Present?
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah, she's like even when she was a worker, she forced herself to confront when it was necessary, whereas work form doesn't like confronting.
Right.
So it makes sense that war forms are going to be like, let's go kill.
We get the exchange.
Why are you so worried?
Bila said.
The ancient powers are said to have come from our gods. Who cares? If the gods would help us kill those armies out there, then I'd swords them right now. Don't say that, Bila.
So that exchange right there kind of cemented in me a fairly severe dislike of the Parshendi.
Mm-hmm.
Because that one line makes them hypocrites. It makes Venli a hypocrite. It makes Bila a hypocrite. They killed Gavilar. They brought this on themselves because of fear about the gods. And we don't know specifically what the populace knows. We only really know that it was the five at the time and her that made this decision. So we don't know if Bila knows. But I feel like they should all know that at the very least they started this war, and that they are willing to bring the gods upon themselves to win this war after having killed Gavilar to prevent bringing the gods upon themselves. It makes them pretty massive hypocrites in my mind.
If they know that that's the reason they started the war. So I agree with you. If all they know is that they started the war, then they're not hypocrites. I don't think that. Then it's just, okay, we need to do everything we can to stop the war. And it's not even hypocrisy that I'm thinking of. I'm just thinking of stupidity and just obstinate denial of reality. So if they do know why they killed Gavilar, if everyone knows, if this is common knowledge, then yeah, they're silly because they're going, oh well, I'm so angry that I'll do the thing I was scared to do because the war's already started. It's too late now. Like it's not really considering the origins of everything, but that is very characteristic of war. People lose sight of what even was the point from the beginning.
That's true.
Because it's just all that happens in war is atrocities build upon atrocities. Everybody will be able to blame each other for bad things. Eventually, when a fight between two people has gotten so bad, saying you started it doesn't actually work because everybody is just ruined already. They've ruined themselves already. They've hurt themselves by hurting others already.
Right.
But yeah, it's stupid. It's silly that you're going to swear to the gods. I need to know. I need confirmation. Is it signaled to us that they know?
I don't think it is,
No.
at least not the depths of it. I refuse to believe that the populace don't know that they assassinated Gavilar. It is just the question of whether or not the populace knows what Gavilar was supposedly trying to do.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they do. And I hope they don't. I hope the populace doesn't know because otherwise they're very stupid.
Yeah. God, I'll get to I'll get to the big comment I want to make soon enough. But we're so close to it, like, on this topic here.
Mm-hmm.
It gets very tense. Eshonai reprimands Byla, and Food tries to diffuse the tension by saying, hey, let's get some food, Arguments are always happier on full bellies, kind of a thing. The group parts, and we get the line, when had she started worrying if her friends were insubordinate? It was this horrid uniform. And I made my Dalinar comment earlier, but that is really what made me compare the two in similarities. Yeah. She looks at the spren in the gemstone, and we get the line, she hated trapping them. The right way was to go into the high storm with the proper attitude, singing the proper song to attract the proper spren. Very Kaladin, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the line, you bonded it in the free of the raging storm and were reborn with a new body. People had been doing this from the arrival of the first winds. The listeners had learned that capturing spren was possible from the humans, then had figured out the process on their own. A captive spren made the transformation much more reliable, but there had always been an element of chance. You could go into the storm wanting to be a soldier and come out a mate instead. Again, we're getting a little bit of emphasis of the Parshendi kind of adopting Alethi ways. They are taking things in, like we see how they do these things, and it works, so let's kind of try that out a little bit. And at this point, I wonder, how exactly is Venli researching these forms? Like, what exactly are they doing? Are they trying to create new forms, or are they just reviewing their songs and trying to analyze them? What is it that they're doing?
It seems like we know that they are doing the song analysis because we've seen them, but also there's the art, the whole of art, which is, I suppose, was just to keep Eshonai happy, but they're doing physical things to attract spren, and that's why she was like, are there any spren at the art hall? So they're trying to catch spren there. So they're trying to catch certain kinds of spren, gotta catch them all, and then try and transform every time that there is a storm. So she's found a storm spren and now is thinking we're gonna transform. So it's like it's a multi-faceted study. I think it's physical and scholarly, history, all of that.
Interesting. Yeah, probably. Then we get the line, Eshonai thinks to herself,
this is progress. Progress is learning to control your world. put up walls to stop storms, choose when to become a mate.
Progress was taking nature and putting a box around it. That seems a bit nihilistic?
It sounds bad.
Yeah, it sounds bad, but it feels like that needs to be unpacked.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, progress is controlling your world. Yes, control your world. Don't let the world control you. But then there are things that are beyond your control. So then the theme of balance comes in. So there's only so far you can go. Yeah, you put up a wall against the storm, but the storm that wall could be broken down by the storm. All of that, there's a lot more to it. And this goes back to what you were saying about there being a through line throughout these chapters. This is where it really resonated for me what you said, because she's talking about controlling the world, doing things differently than what was done in the past, which goes back to Yin. Yeah, whatever his name. Yeah, Yin. He was also having that kind of thought about, oh well, it's just the way that everything had been done. So yeah, it's, do you progress or not?
Yeah.
Is there a balance between, do we progress too far? Can we go too far?
Yep. Is forward momentum progress, or did they have it right back then?
Mm-hmm.
Eshonai goes to speak with her mother. She reflects that the listeners had been a united people. Yes, there were factions and wars and stuff, but they were generally united. She feels the conviction that something has to be done, and she's looking at the dull forms, similar to the Parshmen, and we get the line on the food situation. The dull forms, they were hauling rock buds harvested on one of the nearby plateaus, plants which had been encouraged to grow quickly by use of stormlight-infused gems. I wrote, do the Alethi know about this? Do they?
I don't know. They would probably know, but it's probably easier to just soulcast food.
Yeah, probably. Eshonai notes some of the dull forms, and she becomes anxious and asks if they chose the form in error or if they were new spies. She has to speak very slowly and asks if someone asked them to adopt the form, and we learn that they did it on purpose so that the humans won't kill them when they come. I wrote to myself, am I supposed to feel bad? Let's asterisk that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
You are, because they're giving up consciousness, they're giving up a richer lived experience to stay alive. So they're kind of subjecting themselves to slavery.
Sure. I mean, one, are they expecting the Alethi to attack Narok that, week? Seems a touch premature, but I'll say it in more depth later. I don't have a tremendous amount of empathy for them now, knowing a bit more about them and why they did what they did, considering they were the ones that started the war. Does that make me heartless? It makes me heartless.
No.
But
I understand both sides of this coin.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in both peoples. Yeah.
Sure.
I want them all to come through, and it seems like there's something lost in translation between the two.
Sure. I wonder if the Parshendi tried to talk Gavilar out of whatever it was. I mean, if this was such a big deal, why not include in the terms of the treaty that he don't do this?
Yeah, well, this goes back to the themes that we had with the trading and all of that. Yes, there is some sort of agreement and peace between them, but maybe they didn't know how to negotiate in this way, or yeah, it seems like because there's some things of, certain forms were found 3 years ago and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were in a different state, in a different stage earlier on. So I don't know if there was any negotiation. Maybe they panicked. It might have been a stupid decision.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get more in the future. And also, go on.
Yeah, there is a lot of a lot of stress on them really not knowing their history. They speak about these gods, but they don't really know, and then there's forgotten songs and ancient this and that. So whatever their lore tells them might have pushed them to act prematurely.
Sure. Fair. And I'm sure we'll get more information in the future as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this shocks Eshonai. She's anxious. She's kind of scared. Fear Spren show up. You can't force Parshendi to choose a specific transformation. It's one of their rules. The only person in charge of their form is themselves, which is, I think, a wise, smart thing.
Which then also shows that they are hopeless. These dull forms here, these people that have chosen to be dull forms, they're like, you know what? I would rather just be a dull form right now. I don't want to deal with the pain, and I'm just going to be ready for when we're defeated. Okay, thanks, bye, guys.
Yep. She makes it to her mother. We get the line, she wore work form. She'd always preferred it, even after nimble form had been discovered. Mother had not changed. She had said she didn't want to encourage people to see one form as more valuable than another, that such stratification could destroy them. Seems like a nice way to be.
Yeah, nice thought. Yeah, and then we get a bit of a introduction to her mom hasn't said wise words in a while.
Yes. Wise words, the type Eshonai hadn't heard out of her mother in years. And we learn quick enough that she seems to have Alzheimer's, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very sad circumstance, a sad thing to live with, both on her end and Eshonai's as well.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those these are all human stories. It's something that we can understand and identify with.
Mm-hmm.
Eshonai sat back, attuning mourning, and peace left her. Perhaps she should have chosen the rhythm of the lost instead. It changed in her head. She forced it back. No. Her mother was not dead. She wasn't fully alive either. Heartbreaking, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
The mother is doing some work cleaning up the creme, and she has Eshonai do so as well, and she's confusing Eshonai for her sister. And she thinks that it's her sister's day of first transformation, which is, I think, a little bit literary in the sense that the topic of this chapter will be a transformation, the first of its kind in many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
She also keeps confusing Eshonai for Venli. We get the very sad line,
"You are so good, Venli. So helpful. Staying home, not running off like your sister. That girl, she's never where she should be. She is now. She's trying to be."
I wrote, ouch. And yeah, there are a lot of digs at Eshonai. Not like uniquely harmful, like I hate her, she's terrible. But you can definitely get the sense of the strained relationship they had.
Yeah, and you get why. This informs what happens later on between her and her sister.
Yeah. Eshonai asks her mom for help. She thinks something bad is going to happen, and she can't decide which is the lesser of two evils. And the mom, she's kind of listening, but not listening, because Eshonai is listing out, like, our people are crumbling, we're not winning a war of attrition, and the mother's like, yeah, that's not good.
Oh, that's terrible, honey. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eshonai says that the alternative could be to bring the eyes of the unmade upon us. So that's a new word.
Mm-hmm. Capital.
Yeah, capital U. So is that synonymous with their gods? Their gods having been lowercase g up to this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Eshonai asks the mom why they left the dark home. Dark home? That sounds vaguely voidish.
Mm-hmm. Is it a place? Is it a state? Is it a dimension?
It could be any of these things. I genuinely don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the story of the last legion. So please read it, Kitty.
"Long are the days since we knew the dark home." She's singing, but whatever. "The last legion, that was our name then. Warriors who had been set to fight in the farthest plains, this place that had once been a nation and was now rubble. Dead was the freedom of most people. The forms, unknown, were forced upon us. Forms of power, yes, but also forms of obedience. The gods commanded, and we did obey. Always, always."
So let's take a quick break here to say that I feel like prior to this point, we already kind of got this idea that the gods control them through these forms. And I imagine it to be like a puppetry type situation.
so take over these forms, or for me, the idea of them controlling the forms is that they allow them or restrict them into being certain forms. They transform them against their will, kind of thing.
I mean, I guess it could potentially be something like, I want power, so I will sell myself into servitude to you in exchange for you making me the form that I want to be. But I was imagining something closer to what's going on with the Inquisitors and how, like, the more spikes they get, the easier it is for Ruin to control them. I was thinking it would be something like, if you are in storm form, you become a puppet to your gods. Like, you can't do anything without them controlling you.
Although, yeah, I can see that. The way that I saw it is, okay, there are two ways that I was thinking about it, is either the gods are the heralds or they are the radiance. The gods are the radiance because they're surge binders and they deal with Spren. They're bonded with Spren. There's something to do with Spren here. The surge binders maybe have better relations with Spren, or maybe the gods are just Spren from the other side, and these Spren, I'm saying Spren a lot, do force these transformations, or this last legion or whatever is pledged to, say, the Radiance as, you know, part of their army, and they're pledged to serve the Radiance, and then some schism happens when the Radiance leave, or they realize that they're under the control of the Radiance. They don't want to be. There's a rebellion. I don't know. That's what I was form something with that. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah, I mean, the story in totality kind of echoes the whole abandoning an oath type situation. This last legion was like, we don't want to be controlled anymore, so we're going to go do our own thing, which I think is where it connects to the Radiance and to the Heralds for me.
And the Radiance might have had to control the Parshmen, essentially, to keep them from turning into Voidbringers.
Yeah.
And they've lost that. They've lost that history. And they are like, well, let us free. Let us rediscover things. And it's like, no, now you're just becoming Voidbringers. And they themselves don't know that they shouldn't become Voidbringers.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think you're onto something with the puppetry thing, because if they're Voidbringers, then, you know, maybe Bad Spren can control them.
Yeah.
And because we're getting a lot of information of these forms. These forms have different effects on your brain, and there's a lot of them. So, I don't know, something like storm form does not sound good. And I don't think there's going to be control the way that they think.
I very much agree. I think this is going to backfire on them pretty heftily. But the story continues.
The day of the storm, when the last legion fled, difficult was the path chosen. Warriors touched by the gods, our only choice to seek dullness of mind, a crippling that brought freedom.
I did wonder if that was the creation of the Parshmen.
Yeah.
But it seems that the Parshmen are an entirely different form than the dull forms. So I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it might be something even worse happened to dull forms. So they were ascended of some sort. They had a higher form and clearly touched by the gods. So the gods of sorts changed them. Our only choice to seek dullness of mind, I suppose their only choice is, because being Voidbringers is so destructive, their only choice was to become dull, for some reason, to become dull of mind, to regress, to promise not to play with Spren, essentially.
Right.
A crippling that brought freedom would mean, yes, they sacrificed their consciousness and their ascension, essentially, to be free of the desolation that they bring. That's how I've interpreted it, yeah.
I like it. Your interpretation.
I don't often have interpretations, so I'm sorry, I've gone wild here.
No, it's great. The mother continues.
Daring was the challenge made. When the last legion abandoned thought and power in exchange for freedom, they risked forgetting all, and so songs they composed, 100 stories to tell, to remember. I'll tell them to you, and you will tell them to your children, until the forms are again discovered. This is very much, if you continue reading the Wheel of Time, it will take you a long time, but
I intend to eventually.
When you get through Wheel of Time, I feel like a lot of this is based on, it's the same sort of path that the Aiel go on. And that's it. That's all I'll say.
Neat. So Mother starts singing another song about how they would spread out, act as simple tribes and refugees. It was their plan to remain hidden or at least ignored. The song left out a lot. The last legion hadn't known how to transform into anything other than doll form or mate form.
Without the help of the gods?
Without the help of the gods. And she wonders if the songs had changed much. So again, their worry about the songs changing feeds into my worry that their interpretation of what Gavilar intended to do could have been off.
Yeah. And also why they wouldn't have had good enough reasons to dissuade him from what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had enough clarity. They're just like, oh, it's bad. It's bad, bad, bad. Okay, cool.
Yeah, again, it kind of makes me really dislike the Parshendi, because up until this point, I guess I had presumed that they had a damn good reason that they were absolutely certain about. And now it's kind of like, but did ya?
Yeah, well, they are creatures, remember? So they are different. So they have a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to save their people.
Yeah.
They're just misguided. Don't worry, I'm the white savior, I'll tell you.
Eshonai gets up to leave, and the mom says to take your toys with you. And it's very sad because Eshonai is like, what rocks does she think are toys? Or what strips of cloth does she think are clothes? But no, it's paper as made in the old listener way, maps that Eshonai, had made from the early days. And it turns out that her adventurous lifestyle was very attractive to many other Parshendi who followed her, and she was leading expeditions and so on.
Yeah, so they landed up discovering humans.
Yeah, so in a way she blames herself for all of this, which, oof, what a thing to carry over your head.
Yeah, which makes me sympathize for her. She had this, I want to just see the world, and she does have fascination for the rest of the world.
Yeah. So she's running late for her meeting with the Five, but she doesn't rush there. And we basically learn that if you're not thinking about your rhythm, you can fall into whatever you're feeling most naturally, but you can make a concerted effort to attune a rhythm that you aren't really feeling. She considers that the choice to murder Gavilar Kholin had been an act to affirm that decision of their ancestors, and that seems like a big conviction there. And we learned that Eshonai hadn't been on the Five at the time, but she was essentially given a vote because of her unique relationship to the Alethi and what she knew of them. We get the line, "The choice, horrible though it seemed, had been one of courage. They'd hoped that a long war would bore the Alethi. Eshonai and the others had underestimated Alethi greed." Okay, this is where we're finally getting to the big notes that I wrote. I wrote, oh, it didn't go as you expected? Boo-hoo, yeah, Alethi are greedy. It doesn't make them wrong. Yes, the Alethi have a greed problem, but coming from Eshonai, it falls flat to me. I'm not talking about the writing skill from Sanderson here. I mean, the character. Mm-hmm. It's like, they started the war. They don't get to play victims now because they are losing it. Not to mention that even if Alethi greed weren't a thing, you're presuming that they would have eventually just given up and gone home, which is not the read I get from the Alethi at all. I think they would have been more in line with a riskier but faster strategy to eliminate everyone, but I don't think just giving up would ever be on the table for the Alethi, unless they broke into infighting rather than competition. To whatever degree there's a distinction between those two things. I guess the competition is what we've had for the last 7 years, whereas the infighting is what happened between Sadeas and Dalinar in the last book.
But can we understand them? Can we understand what they did? They don't have to be the victims. You can just understand. Like for me, it's like, oh, that's why. And I can feel for them.
Yes.
You're heartless, Dorkus.
I'm heartless, apparently. But here's the thing. It's like I'm really resonating with this idea that they don't have an accurate recounting. And if it was to prevent the Voidbringers or the desolation from occurring, well, it's happening anyway, so it seems like it was all for
And now they're going to
nothing.
make it happen.
And now they've gone to
It
the dark
does.
side. So I really
Which is
don't
tragic.
feel...
It's a tragedy.
Yes, it's a tragedy. Let it be known, I'm Team Alethi now.
I am Team Story. And I like Eshonai, and I feel horrible for her. And I feel horrible for the Parshendi for being misled and not having their history intact. But I think there is a good reason, an understandable reason. There is a reason they made that difficult choice of becoming primitive again. And I think it was a self-sacrifice. So that's probably why I have a soft spot for them.
Fair. Editor Dorkus here to explore a quick thought I had as I'm editing this. I understand what we're discussing here with regard to empathy for a people who may just about be wiped out and who are becoming increasingly desperate and potentially willing to do something really, really terrible. I have more empathy for Eshonai as a person, particularly with regard to her family dynamics, her mom and her sister, and those circumstances that she is dealing with. But the idea that just popped into my mind that I want to express that I don't think I did in this episode is we get a lot of Eshonai being uncomfortable in her position, her role as this general, as this leader, as this fighter. She's sort of adopted it because she has to for her people. And I've connected it to how it resonates with, I think, different areas of Sanderson's writing, with characters who feel they have some sort of natural talent, but have to fill a different role than what they are suited for. And I know that that is a writing technique, and particularly one that Sanderson is fond of employing, i.e. when Vin tries to do the scholar stuff in book 2. But that's not quite what I'm referencing here. I mean, in terms of, I guess, something a little bit more grandiose. And gosh, I wish I could articulate it just a bit better because it made so much sense in my mind just a moment ago. But connecting it to the Parshendi, who may well have been these creatures of war controlled by the gods to wage war, their gods. And they were like, no, we don't want to do this, so we're going to run away. We're going to self-lobotomize to not fill that purpose. I feel like there's something there, even if there isn't. I expressed, and definitely add in the element of the folks in war form in the first interlude trying art forms. That kind of elevates this idea of a people made bred for a specific purpose, trying to have a different purpose or nature. Back to the episode. So she makes it to the 5 who are waiting for her, and we are introduced to Davim for work form, Abronai for mate form, Chivi for nimble form, and Zoln for dull form. So going back to my idea that Eshonai is Esther, Davim seems like David, and Abronai seems like Abraham. I couldn't figure out one for Chivi or Zoln, though.
Yeah, nothing obvious comes out to me at the moment.
Cool. Venli and her once mate are there as well. The 5 are sitting on the bare rock itself, and the group is annoyed because with the rhythm in their ears, it's hard to be late for anything, which isn't untrue here. And Eshonai expresses her concerns about the test. She doesn't really want to let it proceed. Venli argues that they need this. Davim argues that if it works, it will be an amazing advancement. The first of the forms of ancient power rediscovered. At this point, I wrote in the notes, what if 5 becomes 6? Which is amazingly brought up later, which is great. But also, like, if Stormform becomes a puppet and they start influencing the 6, that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Eshonai is concerned that if they do this, they will be inviting the gods to return. I wrote, which was the Gavilar concern and reason for the assassination.
Mhm.
So don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or at least try to talk peace first, because Dalinar would be for it. Not that you know that, Eshonai.
Mm-hmm.
Venli argues that all forms come from the gods, and nimble form doesn't harm them. Well, it's like, yeah, but one spike doesn't make one an inquisitor, but more do. So, calm down, Venli.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know she doesn't know that. Eshonai says that there's a difference. Sing the song, hum it to yourself. Its coming brings the gods their night. The ancient powers are dangerous.
Yeah. So this makes me think, okay, the coming of their transformation into Voidbringers brings the gods their night. It brings the gods a war, their desolation. When the gods, I'm still leaning towards Radiance being the gods, considered gods,
Mm-hmm.
or whichever Spren bond with people, others. I don't know. I wonder if so. It seems like they can't become Surgebinders.
Yeah, I think that might be the case.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens if Shen becomes a Surgebinder.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
As like a unique one.
But they speak of these ancient powers, so they go on more. You saw a warrior among the Alethi using ancient powers, and many others confirmed it to us. Surge bindings have returned to men. The Spren again betray us. So that was said also after Abranai said men have them. So men have the ancient powers. So
right.
it seems like they have this equivalence of, oh, well, surge binding. There's a surge binding form that they have as well.
Yes.
But it's like they're just going, well, but they could also be going, well, he used magic, therefore ancient powers. And we have the same powers because ancient.
Right. It's really, really strange because we're about to get to another line about how they left the Honor Blade, the assassination. And I really do think you're right. I think that's referring to Zeth. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so you know things, but you don't know things, but you know things.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I going with this? Why leave the Honor Blade? And why is the Honor Blade not a god issue when Surge Binding is? I don't know. It's getting late. I'm a bit tired. Sorry, guys. Mm-hmm. So if you know that Honor Blades can Surge Bind, why is it such a surprise that Kaladin, like that they ran into someone else that could? It's
They preserved that knowledge.
I guess it feels inconsistent to me. They would know about Zeth and what Zeth can do, and yet be so concerned regarding the distinction between Surge Binders and Honor Blades, and why is the presumption here that it's a Surge Binder and not an Honor Blade? These are all questions I'm sure will be answered, to be clear. So when I say inconsistent, I'm not suggesting bad writing. I'm suggesting mystery to unravel.
They view Shin as something different? I don't know.
I guess. Anyway, Abronai, who has tremendous willpower because he's in mate form and yet is still solemn, invokes that surge bindings have returned to men. And Davim thinks that that suggests the gods are returning anyway. They do best to be prepared to deal with them. And it's like, oh, so Satan is about to charge the gates of heaven, so you're gonna go ahead and side with Satan anyway? Because you might as well?
Yeah, they want to use their powers that are ill-gotten, I suppose, if you want to say Satan. They want to use their god powers, or powers that the gods have control over to overcome the gods, because they feel oppressed by the gods. And I feel like that is just a misinterpretation of their actual history, that there is this big, deep secret that actually they chose it, I know it's not a secret that way, but there is this feeling that they were betrayed by the Spren, but actually they weren't. That's my thinking, is that they weren't really betrayed by the Spren. It was an agreement. An oath was broken. Something happened.
I think that could be the case, yeah.
Mm. It's just all so vague. Like I have like a little outline, a little kind of idea, but I don't know how all the parts, like there must be quite a lot of things that disprove my theories, but I can't come up with them at the moment. Anyway, I'm also tired.
My theory crafting is rubbing off on you, Kitty. I'm so proud.
No, it's just one. Just one. That's okay.
That's how it starts. Chivi invokes the Dol forms who chose to become Dol forms. Davim saw them too, and he's like, we're losing the war.
Yeah, we're losing even morale amongst people because they're preparing themselves to be slaves. They're like, we've already lost.
Right. Eshonai is pleading with them. Venli wants to do this at the very next storm. And I wrote to myself, just surrender. Like, open peace talks. You don't have to actually surrender. Open peace talks.
Yeah. Try something different that isn't fighting.
Yeah. Like, do that before you try the storm form thing. Like, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. Fine. But at least send an emissary first.
If you're this worried about gods and things.
Yeah.
Like, you should be. And it seems like there are differing levels of concern.
Yeah.
Eshonai is thinking about, no, this really, we're tampering with some really, really dark shit here. And everyone else is just like, we gotta win the war. It's like, you know what? Yeah.
And it's like, can you really do it? We don't get an official number for how many of these guys are left, but it really does feel like there aren't very many left. It's like, can you really take on, if not all of humanity, all of the Alethi?
Yeah. Why not retreat and go somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. Davim will accept nothing less than a unanimous decision. Eshonai takes a moment. She relies on her explorer self and says she'll agree to the test, but she has to be the one who tries the new form first. And everyone is taken aback by this. Venli is upset, and I'm very nervous about the relationship between Venli and Eshonai moving forward through all this, but we'll get into that a little bit at the end of the chapter. Eshonai makes the argument that Venli's too valuable as a scholar in case something goes wrong. If something goes wrong, I can be spared. And I wrote in the margins, back to formula, which is a Spider-Man reference.
Oh, okay.
What did you think that was?
I didn't know.
A reference to the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie.
I haven't watched it in a long, long time.
Yeah, it was a good one. This is where we get the line that she is the last shard bearer, which, ooh.
Well, we got that earlier, didn't we? In the first chapter.
I think I mentioned it, but I didn't remember specifically where it was, and it's here, where Davim says, you are a shard bearer, our last.
I thought it was in both.
We might have gotten it earlier. It's late. I'm tired. Sorry, guys. She'll give the blade and plate to Thude. The five all seem to really like this idea. Venli's the only one who is upset. She's like, it's my discovery. I deserve to try it.
Yeah, she's taking this very personally.
Yeah, like in a familial, personal way. Stolen grandeur, which could be very dangerous.
And taking it like as if this is on purpose, that she
wanted
thinks
this.
Eshonai's doing something mean. It's like, no,
deceitful.
Eshonai's actually just caring about you. Yeah.
Yep. Abernai notes that Venli is too close to the project, which is true. He says, if Eshonai enters the storm and discovers that something is off about this form, she can halt the experiment and return to us. I wrote, I doubt it. She's gonna be possessed.
I really hope it's not her. Like, I think that there is enough evidence in this chapter that her sis Venli will probably do it.
Or try to.
Or not even do it too. She'll do it first. She'll do it. That's what I'm... And the reason I hope for that is because we need Eshonai on the side of sanity and finding out the real truth. I don't want her out there being a void bringer.
But that'll make it so...
I really don't want her to.
But that would make it so tragic. I think Sanderson worked really, really hard in these two chapters to make us like and care for Eshonai. I almost argue that he went too far in it. She almost seems like flawless in a way in her caring and her duties and all of that. So I think
she's resolved, but I can see how you can,
So that'll make it all that much more terrible when she does become possessed and maybe starts exhibiting different behaviors. But then again, like you said, I could totally see Venli like dashing in, grabbing the gem at the last minute and trying to steal it for herself, the transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say.
Yeah. I don't want Ishina to be a baddie.
Yeah, me too.
I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I am Team Ishina.
Wow. So you hate humankind, huh?
No, I don't. I love the whole of Roshar. Can't we all just get along?
I don't think I would want to go to Roshar.
I want to see the spring.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I would want to see the spren. So all of the 5 agree. Venli is the only one not humming in appreciation. And that's when Eshonai wonders if this works, will they add a 6th to the 5? Will 5 become 6?
Mm-hmm. Called it within the chapter.
Yeah. Also, Zoln wears a Parshman smock to symbolically represent them here as well.
Yeah.
The group disperses, and we get Venli basically saying, I nearly have cause to hate you. You're taking this glory. Eshonai reprimands her, saying, whatever glory's to be had, it'll go to you. That you shouldn't even be worried about that. Our future's the only thing that matters. And then Venli, please read the line. She gets really irritated and really kind of childish. She says,
they called you wise, experienced. It makes one wonder if they'd forgotten who you were, that you went off recklessly into the wilds, ignoring your people, while I stayed home and memorized songs. When did everyone start believing you were the responsible one?
And Eshonai thinks to herself,
it's this cursed uniform.
So that's a very bitter thought. And you add in the sister dynamic and the cutting of it. Yeah, Venli's going to do something dangerous and stupid, I think.
At some point, whether it's turning into the Voidbringer now or it's just, it gives her this feverish, bitter thing about her. And I worry about her actions going forward too.
Yeah. Eshonai is scared of Venli's ambition, which Venli takes as betrayal. Eshonai promises that they'll talk more once they see what this form can do. Venli says, again in irritation, she is relentless.
You want to do it yourself. You always want to be first. But enough. It is done. Come with me. I will need to train you in the proper mindset to help the form work.
For the moment, she's like, fine, but I'm going to tell you how I feel, but fine.
She's attributing malice to her sister.
Yeah.
Completely unjustly. She's like, you want to do it yourself, like for you. You always want to be first. No, maybe she wants to be first in terms of an explorer and that sort of thing. But she did earlier on in the chapter, she did think, the answer within her that came from an explorer, this explorer's heart, essentially. So it might be part of it, but most of the thing is not that she wants to take this from her sister. She wants to protect her sister. And she doesn't trust her sister. And that has made Venli feel betrayed. But it's like, doesn't trust her with this. I think that Venli's just maybe feels a bit inadequate. And her sister not trusting her with something makes her feel even more inadequate. Anyway, such sister dynamics, yeah.
Right. And there is an interesting element at play here when considering the scene with the mom, in which I was given the impression that Venli was the good sister and Eshonai was the somewhat rebellious one. So it's interesting to me that there's some sort of jealousy going on with Venli. I can definitely sense perhaps some entitlement. All in all, it's bad, bitter feelings from her that we're really getting a glimpse of in this scene. And the chapter ends with Eshonai once more thinking about Dalinar and hoping they could sue for peace so that there wouldn't be a need for the storm form. Now, even if they sued for peace tomorrow and got it, and then some, I guarantee you Venli is still going to be trying to make storm form happen.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, cat's out of the bag. Pandora's box is opened, or is about to be.
Yep.
Such is the way of the scholar.
Yes, that's what I remembered. It's I was thinking of Jurassic Park. They never, they didn't consider whether they should.
Merely,
they could only consider Yeah.
If they
Whatever
could.
the line is, you guys know what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Merely if they could, not whether they should. Yeah.
Man alive, we got a movie this chapisode.
Mm-hmm. This is the extended Lord of the Rings over here.
Yeah. And I think we managed to keep in about as much detail as we possibly could, so yay.
Mm-hmm.
There really was so much that necessitated calling out, I think.
Yeah.
A very special thank you to Kitty.
It's awesome, man. It was worth it.
Yeah. Anything else to say, Kitty?
Like the video.
If you like, I promise nothing bad'll happen like trying out a new storm form. If you hit the like button.
Yeah, try like the video form.
Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kita if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel.
Subscribe to this channel because you know it's great.
It would be greatly appreciated, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, thanks, bye.